Hello, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the conclusion of the UK Sim Racing Securities Porsche Cup Season 8, as brought to you on the premier sim racing platform available only on PC, known as iRacing. And today, indeed, it is time for round 13 of 13. 7 weeks of racing have led to this, and we are here in the United States of America for the one and only roller coaster ride of road racing that is Road Atlanta, or the Michelin Raceway in Road Atlanta as it's known for sponsorship reasons. This circuit, located in the US state of Georgia, is synonymous with the ultimate confidence-challenging corner course of the world, given the fact its 12 corners are absolutely ram-packed with sweepers, which include within amongst them multiple elevation changes leading to multiple corners being blind, and not only that, but a phenomenal and ferocious back straight, which will see our drivers hit in excess of 160 miles an hour as they charge their way towards the conclusion of each and every lap. With such a circuit playing host to our season finale, it's an endurance race round, and that means always on the line tonight with all 4 championships wide open, whether it be in the gold, silver or bronze drivers championships, or certainly in the overall teams championship. There's plenty to watch out for today as we get ready to go racing for one final time. But as we get set, we welcome you into this live broadcast from Circuit Side, only available in the official UK Sim Racing Twitch channel. Indeed, it's at twitch.tv/UK Sim Racing. You can be tuning in there, and to you guys and girls tuning in via the Twitch chat right now, we say hello to you all. In particular, we do see Medmo currently in there, Matt Edwardson, and I do believe there's plenty more of you there. And don't be shy, feel free to say hi, let us know how hyped you are for this season finale, because we definitely are here in the commentary booth. And speaking of which, you have myself, Paul, TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. I'll be providing all your race commentary today, indeed for the entirety of the season, and what a season it has been. And let's take a look back at that calendar, but not for too long, because we've got some championship standings to keep you updated on. Well, as we can see then, we started off all the way back on the 28th of September. Goodness me, how the time has flown. 2 months practically since we started. That was rounds 1 and 2 in the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, and after a phenomenal opening pair of rounds to the season, we had our first mid-season break immediately due to some official iRacing events. But after we returned from those on the 12th of October, we kicked back off with a doubleheader in the United States of America. Start off with the US state of Texas at the Circuit of the Americas, an endurance race round which many struggled with given the amount of wear that was on the tyres. But those who were able to manage the tyres pulled off some fantastic results, and perhaps the most notable one, of course, being the battle in the silver class for the win between Cole Fellas and Lucas Romano that went the way of Romano. Then wind on forward a week to 19th of October, we made our way to the US state of Michigan for the city of Detroit, and the Detroit Grand Prix at Belle Isle playing host on rounds 4 and 5 on the 19th of October, and there we got to see some fantastic racing amongst the street circuit, no longer used in real life, but still ever present and ever captured on the world of iRacing, and there it was brought to life once again by wonderful flat 6 machines. Our drivers ripped and teared around the streets of Detroit. Then we made our way over to Spain for Motorland Aragon for rounds 6 and 7 on the 26th of October, and in Spain we got to see a highly technical test presented to our drivers, but with that technical test we also got to see some fantastic racing, and none more so than recently promoted to the gold class Cole Felvers, who managed to fight on hard versus the likes of some of the very best in the field, including Nathan Foster and also Philip Hammer, and try to keep them at bay as long as possible, particularly in the feature race. And then we made our way down under to Australia to wrap up the mid portion of the season on the 2nd of November with Mount Panorama Raceway playing host, and there with round number 8, again it was all about becoming king of the mountain or surviving the mountain, and many of our drivers managed to do so without having a single incident with the wall, but those who found the wall, it very quickly tumbled down the order. But the most notable part of that race, of course, albeit there was plenty of notable moments, was the battle for the bronze win, when the end going the way of Charlie Max right at the end with an overtake on the final corners of the final lap, indeed catching Ben Kirby by surprise after the two of them ran together for the entirety of the 45-minute race. And then had our second mid-season break, and then we returned for rounds 9 and 10 at the Nürburgring Nordschleife on the 16th of November. And well, do we need to introduce the Nordschleife? The Green Hell playing host to our drivers there, and it really was a day of German dominance, with German drivers up and down the field absolutely delivering across their classes, and perhaps most notably what is Thorsten Svett picking up his first 2 wins of the season back-to-back in the silver class there. And in rounds 11 and 12 last time out on the 23rd of November, they were played host in Italy at the Imola circuit, and the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari playing host to our drivers in what was an absolutely scintillating pair of races. And we've got to see plenty of battling, and it set us up for tonight, because today is the 30th of November and it is time for Road Atlanta, our season finale. But going into tonight, let's give you a recap of the standings. And after 12 of 13 rounds, we started with the Gold Drivers' Championship, and now we can see drop scores are applied. And do remember that tonight's race is undroppable. Any points scored by drivers today, they will take all those points into their standings. So the numbers you see right now, whatever points are scored here, they're added, and those will be the final points accumulation, subject to any stewards' inquiries after the racing. But it is Philip Hammer who leads by 6 points for Impulse Racing over Thomas Cope for Olympus XGDC. Cope really feeling the pain of last time out at Imola, where things didn't go his way versus Hammer, and therefore he finds himself now on the back foot, albeit 6 points doesn't sound like much, but when you have got the stellar star of Philip Hammer looking to go for his third driver's title as of today, and picked up the title back in Season 5 and Season 6, you can understand why Cope may be feeling as though he's got it all to do. Now Cope, of course, a champion in his own right, and he's going for his second crown today, last season's champion in the gold class, and this was the circuit where he made his debut last season and absolutely dominated with his Olympus Esports teammates, and therefore you could say that the omens are looking good for Thomas Cope based on previous results. But then again, it's all to play for between these two, because Hammer has come a long way, so has Cope, and they're both pushing each other to the absolute limit. But outside of the top two then, what else is there to talk about? Well, there's plenty of Oistein Hefer, the Olympus XGDC driver, running P3 on 176 points, 2 clear of Nathan Foster, with the Empire Motorsport driver keeping in the hunt for that third place finish in the season, and only a further where's 8 points behind Emil Koopmans, the Apex Misters driver, who valiantly fought his way onto the podium last time out at Imola and was looking for his first win of his career. It wasn't to come, but it will come one day. But could today be the day? And indeed, could that be enough to move into P3 when all is said and done? Or do we need to keep our eyes on Corey Lazarus for Blackout Motorsport OPR and Nicholas Knoll for Impulse Racing? Indeed, P3 I should say, through to P7, the grand total of what is 5 drivers there, separated by only what is 18 points. It couldn't be tighter to finish inside the top 5, outside the top 2 places. Then in P8 it's Tim Darracott for Effect Simulations, who's holding off Simon C. Bamber for UK Sim Racing admin team, while Carl Felt's completing your top 10 for HFT, and then we see Lee Holmes, Ryan Walker and Ben Peterson completing your standings. And then we come on to the silver class, and here the story is a little bit different in the fact that Jeremy Dover leads the way by 13 points for DBR over RPM's Lucas Amano. However, ladies and gents, but right now you'd be imagining we're going to be teed up to an absolutely fantastic finale in the silver class. I'm very sorry to report to you, however, and I was only informed this about half an hour ago, that Lucas Amano will not be able to make it today due to personal circumstances. He's doing okay, I can assure you of that, but unfortunately he's not able to make the race in, and therefore it does mean that the championship is still technically open should Jeremy DeBoer retire from today's race and not score any points. And if Casper Tunstead were to win, Casper Tunstead could theoretically sneak the championship crown away, because remember, it's a grand total of 40 points up for grabs, and 177 plus 40 ends up being 217 if my maths is correct, and therefore you could see that happen. So Jeremy DeBoer right now just needs to finish today in order to become champion. It's not what you wanted to hear, of course, but we thought you'd keep that in mind straight away in case you're asking where's Lucas Romano on the grid, and that explains the story there. But still, outside of the top 2 and the theoretical top 3, the battle for P3 is on, with the Peak Sim Racing driver Tunstead being chased down by Forsen Savert, with Marcel Fritsch only a further point behind in the gap there of what is 18 points between the trio, and it's a further 6 to Chris Edisford. You then have a further 4 points behind DDD Valemic, with Sean Cranny-Swash then to marking a notable gap in the field, 30 points between him and Valemic, and it does mean right now it's a 5-way fight for third place, with Tunstead leading the way. And then Sean Cranny-Swash has his own fight on for 24-hour Punty People, with 8 Racing Purple Skull in Humberstone continue to move closer, 19 points to field, and it's a further 3 points to RPM's Gus Franken, who completes your top 10. Outside the top 10, best of SP11 is Nicholas Grunstrom for Beak Sim Racing. He's the best part of 18 points clear of Matt Strand, with Navarro Debova 6 points further behind for DBR. Next way for Punty People was Roxanne Marshall P14 ahead of Dirt Bounce by only a single point, with Thomas Aspau and David Biggerdike completing your championship standings. And then come on to the bronze class. Last but not least, our Drivers' Championships, and Charlie Max leads the way. He leads by an advantage of 9 points over Ben Kirby, and right now it does look as though it's going the way of Charlie Max, and indeed longer races, or races that normally go towards night time, have been the key for Charlie Max, and it's an endurance race today, so therefore could you say the run of form means that Charlie Max is on course to become champion? Well, Ben Kirby would like to try and veto against that and become the first ever bronze champion as well, so don't count him out. And then the battle for P3 is between Alistair Hatcher for 8 Races Zion and Clicks Races Sean Dobie, Craig Shaw only a further, where's 11 points behind. Indeed, it's a 3-way fight for third place, albeit Alistair Hatcher does have a sizable advantage, and therefore he'll be looking to keep Dobie behind him as long as he can, with Craig Shaw the outsider in that fight. Mark Cadmore in P6 on 96 points. He's looking to hold on to P6 when all is said and done, but he may have some difficulty given the fact that Cameron Smith is only 11 points behind, and Cameron Smith is the big name in the paddock right now, given the fact he picked up both wins at Imola in the bronze class last time out and really was the man on a mission and form to beat. But of course, we could see things turn at any moment's notice, and could we see other drivers in this field? Could Stephen Ray, Fine Lau, Joe Pinder or Jamie McEwen turn things around right in the season finale? We'll have to wait and see, but that's how you stand after a great amount of 12 races. But now we come onto our Teams Championship standings update, and here we can see Impulse Racing leading the way by 12 points over Olympus XGDC. This is going down to the wire, but Impulse Racing have given themselves an opportunity not to be wasted here, and the fact they lead by 12 points is a good advantage, and therefore Olympus XGDC will be the ones who need to try and whittle it down. Outside of the top two, Empire Motorsport lead the way P3, and they have a good advantage over Apex Missers by the best part there of what is, if my maths is correct, 22 points, ahead of DBR by a further 3, and there's Black Hat Motorsport OPR a further 2 off, and that does mean that right now you do have 4 teams in the battle for P3, as separated by a grand total there of what is 27 points. However, RPM a further 20 points behind in P7. They'll be looking to try and get a bit closer and perhaps sneak their way into the top 5 before all is said and done, but they've got to be aware of Effect Simulations are only what is 15 points behind. There's UK Sim Racing Admin Team and Peak Sim Racing who complete your top 10. Outside the top 10 by 5 points is A-Tech Tech Racing Team Purple, ahead of HFT Racing with WS Racing Esports, Friends Racing by Connexus, and A-Tech Tech Racing Sign completing your top 15. Special mention there to WS Racing Esports, who've had a sizable points injection given Marcel Fritsch's win, his first ever win at Imola last time out in the silver class. And then we see outside the top 15, all spares by Connexus by a single point, ahead of 24-hour Punty People only in result count bag, and then it's 25 points for Race Lab Esports, 1 point clear of Peak Sim Racing, with Clicks Racing round off the top 20, ahead of Satellite Racing, Alimus by Connexus, and Iron Brew by Connexus Motorsport complete your team's championship standings. So that's you brought up to date with the standings, but let's remind you where you're racing today and indeed what the circuit's all about. For it is the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta Full Course, located near the town of Brazelton in Hall County in the US state of Georgia, and as we can see from the circuit map provided by iRacing.com, and thanks to them for their wonderful simulator and the fantastic circuit maps that come with it, this is a circuit absolutely packed with sweeping corners, and it's all about momentum-based racing, but it's also about confidence and consistency. You need to be able to carry as much speed as possible from corner to corner here, and therefore having the confidence you know exactly how wide your car is, how much speed you can carry into the apex, and also how hard you can push and corner exit all goes hand in hand. However, this two-dimensional circuit map doesn't do the circuit justice when it comes to elevation change, and therefore allows us to elaborate. For as our drivers make their way across the start-finish line up towards turn number 1, we'll find the long right-hander. It is an uphill momentum corner where they charge the way uphill and over the blind crest of turns 2 and into 3. Now turn number 3 is completely blind under braking. You brake at the apex of turn 2 and you've got to brake at the right time and turn in, because by the time you've turned in, it's only then when the wheels are pointing off centre, that's when you'll see the apex of turn number 3 and you need to get it right. Get it right, however, and you carry all the speed through the left-hander of turn number 4 and it's into the S's sequence, which is the serpentine and sequence corners that lead you all the way from turn 4 downhill and up into the rise to turn number 5, and turn number 5 could be one of the corners that catches many a driver out with its raised apex curve and its very sharp and high exit curve as well, upsetting cars with low ride height. But the drivers make the way out to the left-hander, it's then the charge down towards turn 6. Going into the 2 sliced corners of the circuit, turn 6 and 7, our drivers will make the way for the double right-hand right-angle corners, and as they make the way out of turn number 7, it's back on the throttle as soon as possible to charge the way through the long back straight and the curvature of turns 8 and 9 in the run down towards the chicane at turns 10A and 10B. They're sharp on the brakes and seeing the cars bottom out when they go down into the dip, and as they go onto the brakes and through the chicane, it's then back on the throttle and full throttle over the blind rise at turn 11 and down into descent to turn 12, flat out through the right handle to complete lap and do it all over again. Well, speaking of doing it all over again, let's go through those rules for endurance race rounds once again. And as we can see, qualifying wise, an open qualifying format shall be used, and therefore all the drivers will be out on the circuit together. Drivers have 20 minutes to set their best possible time, but do keep in mind our drivers are not permitted to reset to the pits outside the pit lane. If they do so, their qualifying session is over, and therefore if they do end up in an instant, well, it's either limp the car back to the pits, or if it has to be towed, it's all over, and that means we could see some drivers start from the back of the field. Now race-wise, there is a single 45 minutes endurance race today. Racing shall commence by a standing start, as has been the tradition of the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup, and the endurance race could be set based on results of qualifying, that's a given. There are no mandatory pit stop requirements in the endurance race. We're not expecting any pit stops today. A driver shall receive a drive-through penalty if they accumulate 24 more instant points, and points shall be awarded as per the combination of the heat and feature points format, so that's why there's 40 points up for grabs today. That's enough rules, that's enough regulation, everything between. Let's go back to our circuit side pictures, ladies and gentlemen, as our drivers are about to go into qualifying. And to take you for that schedule, we'll now at 8 o'clock this evening, that's in Greenwich Mean Time GMT, or Universal Coordinator Time at UTC, we go into qualifying 20 minutes in duration, after which we're heading straight to the grid for our 45 minutes endurance race. All the drivers absolutely set and ready to go for one last time this season. And well, as we get the transition over into the qualifying session, wonderful conditions today. A track temperature of 38 degrees centigrade, ambient temperature of 23 degrees centigrade. It's much warmer than it is here in the UK right now. I can definitely tell you that, with temperatures plummeting below the 0 threshold of centigrade. But as the drivers get get set. It's going to be a hotly contested race, and we go straight into qualifying, and all the drivers making the way out already. And well, here we go then, the last qualifying session of the season, and we've been the last one. Of course, it's the last moment to have the bragging rights to go for pole. There's no doubt about it. But as we say hello to Nicholas Nold in the Twitch chat there. Good evening to you, Nicholas. And I do believe he's going to be out on the circuit, and he already is. In fact, he decided to pop in briefly. Well, there's the Impulse Racing pair of Nold and Hammer together, and as they make the way on through the S's right now, getting themselves all set and ready to go. And indeed, we are in tenuous territory, given the fact this qualifying session could be very important. Now, to talk a little bit about qualifying, how important is qualifying relative to the race when you've got 45 minutes of racing? Well, overtaking at Road Atlanta is highly possible. Given the fact, if you ever tuned into Real World Motorsport at Road Atlanta, whether it be IMSA or another series, you'll know that plenty of battling does happen, and this is one of the premier circuits in the world when it comes to multi-class racing. Indeed, it has the wonderful Petit Le Mans named after the circuit, whereby drivers race around here for the best part of 8 hours. But today it's 45 minutes of racing and overtakes are plentiful, particularly down the back straight, but also if mistakes are made for the opening sequence of corners, and particularly the S's in the run towards turn number 6. And let's not forget as well, overtaking is highly possible into turn number 1, albeit you have to keep in mind there, with the corner being 3 wide effectively, it can get very crowded very quickly through there, and you can see a driver who takes that position going out to turn number 1 find themselves losing out in the run into turns 2 and 3. But to put that all aside, therefore, what qualifying will do if you're able to take pole position, it gives you the best possible opportunity to start at the front of the field and try to make an early lead, or at least hold on to lead and protect the tyres as much as you can. So therefore, our drivers will be pushing for pole, there's no doubt about it. It's absolutely standard they should do. But we see a driver not quite manage to achieve that qualifying position. It's not going to dishearten them too much, given the fact it's a long race ahead, and Nicholas Nold right now getting very wrong out of turn 1 already, and we'll just gradually smoothing the car across the grass and back on to the racing asphalt there. He's going to use the runoff area there of what is the club corner rather than the standard full course layout that we're seeing. He takes the club runoff area there in order to bring the car back together, but that could have been tears very quickly, and that's why the qualifying session definitely right now has a huge risk versus reward factor to it, in the fact you've got to push very hard to get pole here, but if you get it wrong and put the car in the wall, you will be out of qualifying before you know it. And to do well in qualifying, what do you need to do with regards to the setup of the car? Well, this is one of those circuits where you need to try and avoid running as much rear wing as possible. It sounds counterintuitive given the number of corners around here, but our drivers will be pride themselves on taking a bit of rear wing off the car for the purposes of this back straight as they make the way on around, and therefore every mile an hour gained along here can offset the time that you do lose through the corners. But you've got to have a car as well that goes for you as the driver. You can't have a car that you're worried about stepping wide or losing the rear end of going through the sweepers around here for the simple reason you haven't got confidence in the car for a single push lap, or you have confidence in the car over the course of 45 minutes. And therefore, drivers most likely bring a very different setups to the race versus qualifying, but here it really is about feeling comfortable with the car and trying to get as much speed out of it as possible, and the two go hand in hand to lead to that pole lap. As we're starting to see our first times on the board here from our drivers, and as we can see a few bronze drivers already putting times on, including Cameron Smith, who sets the initial bar at a 21.548. We do believe today we are expecting laps to be in the 20s for pole position overall, and we'll have to wait and see how it all filters on through the order. Well, Cameron Smith right now absolutely buoyant after his delivery of 2 fantastic wins at Imola, and now looking to make it a 3rd in a row today. Whilst he can't effectively take the championship crown, he's outside the mathematical points pool to be able to do so. He could definitely potentially cause some championship aspirations to be questioned when it comes to Ben Kirby versus Charlie Max, and the fact if he's able to take the win, then the points available to the 2 championship contenders will be reduced quite significantly, and that's always a nice place to be in when you can try and control the fate of other drivers in their championship campaigns when you're not pointing it yourself. But as Smith makes his way on down the back straight, we do look to Marcel French, first time winner in the silver class as of last week at Imola, and the WS Racing eSports driver ever since the switch to the silver class midway through the season. He's definitely been looking more comfortable with the car. I think it may have just galvanised him a little bit further. That's not to say he hasn't been putting the effort in or being motivated as he goes P2 down to 20.692, but there has been a notable upturn in results from Marcel French, and I can say one thing, it's absolutely brilliant to see him absolutely plugging away week in and week out, because at the end of the day we love to see a bit of an underdog, and the number 27 driver has been exactly that as he makes his way on down through turn number 4 and into the S's right now as he rolls his way on through the corners. He can see carrying all the speed on for a little bit of understeer creeping in there as he made his way through the downhill right hand through the S's and catching the car just in time, but losing a little bit of speed as a result. It is so difficult to get it right here when you're pushed to the pace on with the Road Atlanta circuit. Those limits have to be pushed, but at the same time push them too hard and they come back to bite you very quickly. But here we look to Corey Lazarus, the Blackout Motorsport OPR driver, making his way up the hill through turn number 1 and had a bit of a bumpy end to his time at Imola last time out. Ended up in a little bit of a battle with what was Thomas Cope. The two of them there definitely seeing tempers flare to a degree, but I believe they've been able to settle it outside of the race, and that's been a very amicable assessment between the two drivers. Things did get a bit heated, but it means a lot to him. You can understand why. And Corey Lazarus right now definitely showing how much this means to him in terms of the season finale on the 20.118, and already we are to the bottom end of the 20s. Could we see some 19s before we're said and done? Well, it's quite likely here, given the fact I think our drivers will be running on tyres that are definitely in the operating window, but they've got quite a bit of fuel in the car, and therefore they'll still be looking to try and get some of that fuel out and go all in. And the strategy for qualifying we normally do see in these endurance race qualifying sessions at 20 minutes is that drivers that do opt to put quite a significant amount of fuel in the car, they'll do their out lap plus a warm-up lap. Alternatively, they'll do their out lap plus a banker lap, then they'll cool the car down for a lap and then go again and push it and raise the percentage at which they're giving the effort each and every time until the very end, where the car's very light on fuel, and then they give it 100%, the full attack lap there, where they don't leave anything on the table. But as we look to Sean Derby, he makes his way on through the final corner. He's currently your bronze pole sitter, P14, doesn't improve that time around, but he has been able to get himself 4 tenths clear of Cameron Smith and Charlie Maxwell jumping into the space, but still the best part of 3.5 tenths behind. We have a new overall pole sitter, Nicholas Knoll, with the 19.649, so the first 19 of the day here. So it looks like our expectations are being shattered very quickly. Nathan Foster goes P2 on ways a 20.06 to the nearest 100th. In fact, it's a 20.06 to be precise there from the Empire Motorsport driver. And well, here is Nathan Foster in the wonderful liveried white, light blue and black machine as he makes his way on down through the descent. Looking quite comfortable in the car right now. There's no doubt about it in the fact that it's going to be Nathan Foster who's going to be one of those drivers out there who could really be a fly in the ointment for Philip Hammer and also Thomas Coates. Foster has really been pushing all season to try and pick up his first win. He's not quite been able to pick it up. He's been a runner multiple times. He's been on the podium more times than I've got fingers on my hands. But I can tell you one thing, that Foster right now very eager to try and end the season on that ultimate achievement, which would be a win at third place in the gold class as well with it. And well, only time will tell if we'll be able to achieve it. But meanwhile, as our drivers do get themselves set to go into what will be the second, third qualifying session, we have had a bit of an incident from Nicholas Knoll, from what I'm hearing, and Philip Hammer as well. They've both pulled off to the side of the circuit. They're going into the turn 10 chicane, so they're trying to work together and give each other the toe as they make the way on through. And as they make the way on around right now, we're going to be jumping on board with Philip Hammer for a flying lap of Road Atlanta, as brought to you by the championship leader. So he makes his way across the timeline and in towards turn number 1 in excess of 150 miles an hour. He'll trail break his way in 100 metres from corner apex down the fourth gear, and now bringing the car through back on the throttle as soon as possible as he goes over the rise into 2. Now where's turn 3? He's broken for it, and then suddenly there's turn 3, but he's already had to turn in for it there. And that shows you how blind turn 3 is. He makes his way through the left-hander of 4, and now downhill to the efforts. This is all about throttle control here as he makes his way on through, bouncing over the curbs there, pushing it to the absolute threshold of what's available in terms of adhesion. And as he comes out of 5, on towards 6 he goes. A little bit of traffic ahead as he makes his way onto the brakes. As Cope on the right will stay clear. Onto the brakes, about 75 minutes from corner apex down to third gear as he makes his way now into turn number 7, down to second gear, the slowest corner on the circuit. 57 miles an hour at the apex curve, and now on the throttle here, and he'll be using all the toe off his teammate in order to buffet his speed down the straight. And well, we'll see here just how quick he'll go as he heads up into fifth gear, shortly into top gear, already halfway down the straight, up to 145 miles an hour. And now coming for the right and kick of 9 and into the downhill descent here, 165 miles an hour as he brakes 130 metres of corner apex through the turn 10A and 10B chicane. He goes third gear as he makes his way through straight line the apexes, 2 wheels still on the road surface, over the rise of 11 and down into 12, flat out here in fifth gear as he comes on through at an apex of 134 miles an hour. It's a lap. How good is it going to be from Philip Hammer? It's only good enough for P3 right now, 700ths off a pole from Nicholas Knoll, but Hammer going all in here as he makes his way through. It's a wonderful lap on board with Philip Hammer, and it gives you a sense of that roller coaster ride in terms of the elevation changes coming together as we see him making his way through turn number 3 there once again, and lifting up the right hand side wheels as well on the descent on down. And now Hammer and what we know have swapped places, and it will be Nicholas Knoll who's going to try and tuck into the toe of his teammate to try and improve his pole lap even further. And could Knoll pick up his first pole position of the season? Now that would be an achievement as well, as Thomas Cope splits the two of them by only 4 thousandths right now. I do believe Cope today running on a new sim racing equipment as well, so he's got that all dialed in. Indeed, after what was Imola having to race on borrowed equipment from a friend, well, right now Cope all back and in the zone here, and just in time for the Olympus X GD6 driver. And where's his teammate? Here you ask. Well, here is the GD6 Motorsport driver of what is Oisin Hereford as he makes his way down. And right now, the second member of the Olympus X GD6 collaboration team, he's currently half a second off the Knowles pole lap. He's mixing up with Corey Lazarus in the battle for P5, and Elmore Coombs is a third 4 tenths behind But meanwhile, one class we haven't really talked about, and now we head into the second half of this qualifying session, is the silver class, and here's your silver pole sitter. It's DDD Blaming right now, as we do see him making his way through the right-hander at turn 1, and looking quite good so far, albeit it must be pointed out he's only 400s clear of Marcel Fritsch, and Fritsch once again up there on the times, but Blaming a very fast driver over a single lap. We have seen that this season, where he's been able to win some stellar laps, attempting to gain pole position. New fastest lap of the qualifying session over on in gold. Nicholas Nold now on a 19.611, so he's raised the bar a little bit further compared to his previous best, but as we do see there, Blaming going very wide out of turn 5, almost hitting the barrier there on the corner exit. Thankfully not. That could have been near fatal to the rest of his qualifying session. Right now, making his way on through there. That'll be an invalidated lap, but Blaming trying to push even harder here, and well, meanwhile, he's got to, given the fact the pressure that's on from this man, Marcel Fritsch, is tantamount to absolutely terrifying as he runs wide there out of the final corner. That's going to compromise his next lap, so therefore I think this will be another warm-up lap here for Fritsch, given the fact he was off track when he started it, so he'll invalidate the start of the lap as he makes his way over the rise and into turn number 3. Right now, Douglas Racing Esports Drive giving it everything, but a bit too much there, and perhaps just needs to dial it back slightly as he gets himself set. He's got time available to him. He's got the best part of 8.5 minutes. Could he take pole position away from his counterparts? We'll have to wait and see. But meanwhile, in the bronze class, it is still Cameron Smith who's up there, and in fact, Cameron Smith is the pole sitter right now, with Sean Dobie, Ben Kirby, and Charlie Max, the next 3 drivers in the sequence. But going to drivers who are perhaps not on the pace right now, we do look to it Nicholas Grunström as the Swede makes his way on down the back straight here for Big Sim Racing, and well, in the number 999 car, currently sat in P10 in the silver class in terms of qualifying session, and what is at P22 overall, and Grunström just having some difficulty, I think, in getting himself set up here. And this really is a rhythm-based circuit, and that does mean that when you're making your way around here time and time again, well, if you do make any mistakes, if you can't get yourself in that mental mindset of a rhythm, it does make the track even harder to pace around at a good rate of knots. But as he makes his way into the pit lane, does look like there's some damage to the left-hand side of the car, and some repair work will be going in, there's no doubt about it. We meanwhile look to our bronze championship leader of Charlie Max here, as we do see him making his way on through turn at number 5, that treacherous exit curve. You can see how they bounce their way up onto the curb on that front right tyre, and if the ride height of the car is too low, what it ends up doing is bottoms the car out on the front end as it scoops out onto the curb, and we can see some rather nasty incidents as a result of that, and therefore drivers do have to be careful, and it can upset the rear of the car as well. There's some oversteer as they make the way out of 5, and the rear right tyre connects with the curb prematurely. That can upset the entire balance of the car and kick it around onto the inside wall. But as he makes his way on down the back straight here, Max right now, he is the best part of, where he's 1/10 off of rival and also sister team driver Ben Kirby, so it could go down to the wire between these two. But as they make the way on down in towards turn number 10A and 10B, well, Max right now looking as though all he needs to do today is finish 1 place behind Kirby, and he guarantees himself that bronze championship title, and therefore it is a good place to be when you don't have to beat your rival, you just need to finish close to him. But Max, of course, won't want to just do it the easy way. He'll want to earn it on circuit by winning in terms of that battle between him and his rival, by finishing ahead. It's the best way to wrap up the season, of course, when you end it on the ultimate high. As he makes his way through turns at 1, 2 and 3, Max right now not improving that time around and having to go again. As he makes man down the hill, we show you the weather update there, and on the right hand side of the screen, what you can see is since the practice session, track temperature has plummeted quite significantly from what was previously 38 degrees centigrade, now down to 24. It is quite early in the evening right now, given the fact local time 4:15, and this could mean we're going to see the track temperature gradually fade away over the course of today's racing. Could even end up a little bit of night time towards the end of the 45 minutes, depending on when we are scheduled to start in simulator time. But the point being here, the circuit is cooling, and therefore those lap times are going to keep on coming higher and higher in terms of how quick our drivers can go. But as we do hide the weather bar once again here, Corey Lazarus moves up to P4 on what was there, I do believe, a 19.853, and therefore Lazarus finding a bit more time, and he's 2.5 tenths now off of the pole man. And here is your pole sitter of Nicholas Nold, still on pole by what is 400ths versus go, and we'll get a bit wrong now. 5 just misses the tyre barrier, and Nold pushed it to the limit and having to be very, very careful, as we do see their cameras with just parking the car on the inside before turn number 6 and steering clear of the gold pole sitter and also his teammate as they make the way on around. But as they do, meanwhile, we do look to none other than Jeremy DeBova, and right now currently P5 in the silver class, and knowing it's P13 overall, and all he needs to do today in order to become champion with the absence of Lucas Romano is finish the race. And if he does so, he will be guaranteed that championship crown regardless of where he finishes, even if it is at last place there. So he's in a very happy place, but of course there's always that little bit of terrifying nature within the racing in the fact that if he doesn't finish the race right now, here is your silver pole sitter, and it is the man who in theory could snatch that title away from Jeremy Debova, and indeed Debova was denied it last season in that long battle that we did see, and again he has been denied it by small margins, but will he be denied it today? We'll be hopefully thinking that it's not going to be denied to him. But Casperton said right now, when he sees that he's silver pole sitter at this time, provisional of course, we still do have the best part of 4.5 minutes to go, well, could he be starting to imagine that miracles do happen? And well, you never know, as he parks the car up there before turn 10, he's going to have to wait and try and get off the road in with so many cars coming on through. But everyone queuing up there, including 24-hour punch people for Sean Granny Swash, as we do see the 117 car make its way over the rise and down. The Canadian driver here charging on to another lap. He's got Simon Bamber just up the road from him. Simon Bamber does not improve. He stays P12, the lowest placed gold driver at the moment. One driver in the pits not able to take part in qualifying, it was seen. Perhaps there's an issue with the car. It is Mark Cadwell, the bronze driver in the number 86. He'll be starting from the back of the field at this rate, given the fact he's not been able to lap in. But as we see Sean Granny Swash going wide out of turn at number 1. Well, very shortly we do have what is Thomas Cope making his way on around and down in towards turn 10A and 10B. And right now he's gone at personal best and the fastest of everybody in sector 2. But has he got a way to find a bit more time in the rest of the lap here? Can he find a way to close the delta to Noel for pole position as he makes one for his personal best in the final sector? Could this be it for Cope? It is. It's 2.5 tenths faster. It is a 19.351. Hammer goes P2, 2.5 tenths off. So right now Thomas Cope has struck back and he is towed to the pits. I think for Cope that will mean his qualifying session is done and dusted. Indeed, he leaves the car and now the gauntlet has been laid down. It is now for Philip Hammer and Nicholas Noel to respond. Can they find 2.5 tenths and can they find it in the next 3 minutes, given the fact that Cope just spent an absolutely phenomenal lap to put himself on pole? But Hammer right now will not sit down and let it go. He'll be giving it everything to respond. But meanwhile, Simon Bamber comes up through the final corner, tucking into the toe of Grunstrom as he heads across line, and both drivers looking to improve here. Bamber jumps up to P7 on 20.122. Grunstrom goes 21.058. So both drivers are looking good here for late improvements. Meanwhile, Casper Tunstead heads on around. He's still only half a tenth faster than Marcel Fridge. He's on an outlap as well, so Tunstead leaving it late in the day to go for the ultimate final lap in this qualifying session. But to be fair, that's when all the rubber's been laid down the circuit, and therefore the circuit is arguably at its best in terms of its condition, subject to any mitigating circumstances. Particularly this road Atlanta circuit, you can feel that rubber going down as he makes way in towards turn at number 7 right now. The peak sim racing. Will he reach a peak? Well, Marcel Fritsch says no, you don't. He's gone to pole position in the silver class for 20.497. That's P9 overall. And as we do show you those class standings on the left hand side of your screen there, newly integrated today in our time tower there, we show you the class standings but with the overall positions against the drivers' names. And as we can see it right now, Marcel Fritsch P9 overall. That's your silver pole sitter, and he is 1/10 faster than Casper Tunstead. And Tunstead out there knowing he has got 2 laps left on the clock, given the fact overtime rules are in effect for this qualifying session. When the clock does strike 20 minutes, it does mean that if our drivers are on lap, they're allowed to finish it. But he makes his one through. He's just going to sneak in 2 laps here, presuming he doesn't make a mistake on this one. He's got 1.5 minutes to go. The lap times around here are 1:20 for the silver class, and therefore Tunstead will just give himself enough breathing room. But is it enough time in the long haul? Well, we're going to have to see as they make their way on over the rise, and as they do, Oisin Hereford as well coming on through here, but I think he may have left it a little bit too late. He's going to be right on the threshold of whether he will get another lap in after this one, and he'll be looking to improve. In the fact he'll be starting P5 currently, he'd like to be on that second row to take on Nicholas Nold. So therefore the 2 major championship contenders will be fighting for the top spot, but also for the biggest points. As meanwhile, there's a car pointing the wrong way, and that's Nicholas Nold going on. That's Philip Hammer who's made an error coming out of what was turn number 5, and well, this is Nold going quite slowly through turn at number 7, and he's decided to back it off and park the car off circuit. It's the end for Impulse Racing's qualifying session, and it's an end that has happened very prematurely. What exactly happened to Philip Hammer? Here's a quick replay. He's made his way out the corner and just runs 2-1 and hits the wall. My goodness, the car almost going on its side there, and the Impulse Racing driver, now that would have been a scare and a half behind the wheel of the car, even though it's virtual. Wonder if the car was going to go over on itself, but they're just carrying a bit too much speed and therefore having to park the car up. And well, you can understand right now that will be a frustrating end to the qualifying session for Hammer. It means that Cope right now, unless Lazarus or Tati Hefford or Foster pull off a phenomenal lap out of nowhere, it will mean that we will be seeing Cope on pole for the final time to this season. And meanwhile, as we do look back to the overall standings, checker flag is now out. And I do believe Chris Edison saying hello in the Twitch chat and saying car got stuck in the barrier. And I'm sorry to hear that, Chris, if that is referring to what's happened to your car. We didn't quite catch that, but we also say hello there to Lewis Balecki, who says the good stuff. And I think that may have been in reference to Thomas Cope putting the car on pole, unless I'm mistaken. But good evening to you, Lewis. It's great to have you tuned in and chatting for the first time today on the UK Sim Racing Twitch chat. But now with the checker flag out here, anybody who's on a lap, well, they'll be going for it all the way to the very end. Speaking of one, this is Matt Strand, the Race Lab esports driver, making his way on through. Just in front of him is Alistair Hatcher, I do believe, bronze P24 driver overall. And as they make the way over the rise, Hatcher comes on through. It doesn't look to be an improving lap. Meanwhile, Strand coming on through. The second half lap has been an improvement to a degree. He heads to the line, and what's it going to be for Strand? Moving from P14, he does. He jumps ahead to Jeremy DeBova right at the close on a 20.807. So that will be P5 in the silver class, P13 overall. We've also got Casper Tunstead still out there, but I don't think he's improving right now as he makes his way on through what is turns 10A and 10B. So therefore, I think for Tunstead, he may miss out on this pole position, but at the same time, to be only a 10th off versus Marcel Fritsch is by no means an under impressive feat, as we look for the words in our dictionary and can't quite find them, and since they can't find any more time, and well, he'll be starting P2 in the silver class, but definitely close to his rival. So Marcel Fritsch will be your silver pole sitter, and well, what a way to wrap up qualifying this season for the silver class of Marcel Fritsch, and in fact taking his first ever pole position in the class as well. But to give you a recap then, ladies and gentlemen, it is Thomas Cope who takes the final overall and gold pole position of the season by 2.5 tenths over Philip Hammer. The two championship contenders on the front row, with Nicholas Knowles starting P3 and Corey Lazarus on the second row. Moving back to the fifth row of the grid, it will be your silver pole sitter and Marcel Fritsch with Casper Tunstead alongside in the battle for the silver spot at the front of the grid. And then we can see it starting P15, Cameron Smith pulling off another pole position with what will be Ben Kirby and Charlie Mack starting P18 and P19. But qualifying is complete, and well, we now have 5 minutes to warm up and get ready to go racing, ladies and gentlemen. 5 minutes for our drivers to put the right setups on the car and everything in between. So we'd like to take this brief moment to let you know that if you have been enjoying the racing this season, and if you've ever wondered how you can potentially support UK Sim Racing, well, firstly, do feel free to subscribe or follow us on Twitch, and that way you can stay up to date with all the latest broadcasts that we do bring on the channel on a weekly basis from our series such as the Porsche Cup, also the ongoing GT3 GTP Multiclass League, which does wrap up its inaugural season as of this coming Sunday. You won't want to miss that at Silverstone, and we've got plenty more planned for the remainder of this year and going into 2024. Now, outside of the Twitch channel, did you know that you can support us via our affiliates? For UK Sim Racing is affiliated with multiple sim racing and real-world motorsport companies, including but not limited to what is the likes of Swellion Meadows Sim Racing Coaching, Race Anywhere and Demon Tweaks. And if you do head to our website, and that is uksimracing.co.uk today, and here is our website on screen. Well, if you go to the Discord link in the top right corner of it, visible there, you'll be able to join the official UK Sim Racing Discord. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, there's two reasons, one of which is more relevant than the other, but we'll come on to it very shortly. The first one is if you ever want to be on the grid for any of our series, such as the next season of the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup, and I'll tell you a little bit more about Season 9 later on towards the end of today's broadcast. Well, if you ever want to be on the grid for any of our official series or any one-off events, you must be a member of the UK Sim Racing Discord, so that way you can attend all the pre-race driver briefings. It is a safety requirement and therefore a mandatory requirement. But perhaps more relevant to today is the fact that our affiliates provide discount codes which are only available on the official UK Sim Racing Discord. And if you use one of those codes as part of your purchase, it's a win for you. It puts you in pole position to receive what will be a discount on your purchase, but also it's a win for the UK Sim Racing community, because we are a non-profit organisation, and that means every kickback we get from an affiliate code purchase, all those kickbacks go into funding future series, including future editions of the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup, the GT3 and the GT3 GTP Multiclass League, and we'll plenty more plans for the remainder of this year and going into 2024. So do remember, your purchase can go a long way in supporting UK Sim Racing. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, what we haven't got to go a long way for is to get ready to go racing one more time this season, and we are now only what is 3 minutes away from going to the grid as Emil Coombs here makes his way on around gets himself all set up and ready to go. And will the Apex Mrs. driver will be keeping his head down and knowing that whilst qualifying perhaps hasn't been perfection for the Dutchman, he's qualified well. He is in amongst that leading gold group, and therefore when he goes green flag racing, can he make his way through the field? And we have previously seen, of course, at Road Atlanta for Emil, it has been a bit of a mixed set of fortunes when he's raced. He's had some great moments, but he's also had some difficult ones. But the number 911 driver, the 911 driver, aptly named after the Porsche machine, of course, the Porsche 992 Cup cars being raced by drivers this season. Well, for Emil Koopmans, he'll be looking to try and go one step further and sneak that win in. But he's going to be in tough competition with the likes of Philip Hammer and Thomas Cope on that front row of the grid. And that will be one of the biggest talking points today. With Cope taking that pole position and Hammer there, but remember, Hammer does not need to win. All he needs to do is finish one place behind Cope in order to guarantee that championship title, as we are aware. Of course, we'll announce it on the broadcast, but do keep in mind it may be provisional, and therefore we will wait for the official confirmation after the race is complete. But indeed, our mathematics is at the moment that all Hammer needs to do is finish one place behind Cope, and he will take that championship crown. As he makes his way on through in towards turn number 1 here, the Impulse Racing driver all set and ready to go. Indeed, what will our drivers be doing at this point? Well, they'll be putting different setups in the car. They'll be putting race setups on, which will be much more stable by comparison with the qualifying setups. The qualifying setups normally setting up the car for what is a lighter fuel load, but also a much more aggressive car with the rear end wants to rotate a lot more, and cars where you need to be absolutely on edge, and you can run them for 1 or 2 laps, and they'll also tear the tyres apart. But now our drivers will be making adjustments to the setups and load an alternative, which will help protect the tyres a little bit more fuel in the car as well. There's no expectation for a pit stop here. If you have to come into the pits to take fuel, you're going to lose a lot of time in terms of your race, but these cars can carry enough fuel to make it to the end of the race unscathed on fuel capacity for 45 minutes. And on top of that, as well, some tweaks, also the amount of rear wing being run on the car in order to settle that rear end down, also some changes to the tyre pressures, and plenty more to going to make the car competitive and raceable for 45 minutes. But as our drivers make the way through here, some staying in the pit lane, others opting to make the way out onto circuit. Indeed, some drivers prefer the quiet meditation in the pit lane. Others want to hear the roar of the flat six of the German machinery as they get themselves set. It's a way of keeping the nerves together and keeping that adrenaline flowing. Well, either way, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you've got the adrenaline pumping. And before we forget, unfortunately, there was no driver of the day for last week's races at Imola. We didn't get enough votes on the driver of the day. We will be announcing the way you can vote for your driver of the day midway through the race, so stay tuned for that. And we would love to have you vote for your driver of the day today and get those numbers up so we can make an announcement of who was the driver of the day after the racing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the checker flag comes out in the warm-up section. You know what time it is. It's time for 45 minutes of racing here at Road Atlanta. Round 13 of 13 is about to get underway, but who will be our champions? Let's find out. So our drivers make their way onto the grid for the final time this season, and here's how they line up for 13 of 13. It is Thomas Cope who takes pole position for Olympus X GD, joined on the front row by Impulse Racing's Philip Hammer. Behind the 2 gold championship contenders, it's Nicholas Knoll for Impulse Racing and Corey Lazarus for Black Up Motorsport OPR. Row 3 goes to Oisin Hereford for Olympus X GD and Empire Motorsport's Nathan Foster, with row 4 going to Simon C. Bamber for UK Sim Racing Admin Team and Emil Koopmans for Apex Missers. Behind them on row number 5 is your silver pole sitter and Marcel Fritz for OS Racing Esports, taking his first pole position of the class this season, and he is joined on the road by Casper Tunstead for Peak Sim Racing. Outside the top 10, starting P11, Didi Divaloming and Chris Edderford make up the row for DBR and UK Sim Racing Admin Team, and on row number 7 it's Matt Strand from Racelab Esports and Jeremy DeBoer for DBR. On row number 8 is your bronze pole sitter, the privateer of Cameron Smith, and silver star Nicholas Grunstrom for Peak Sim Racing, with Sean Dowie starting P17 for Clicks Racing, joined by Ben Kirby for All Spares by Connexus, and it's Charlie Max. And we'll have to stop there, ladies and gentlemen, because I've heard the call that the lights are coming on through, and here we go then. It's going to be 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for the final race of the season as Thomas Cope looks to get a good start. Hammer and Noel having slow starts by comparison. Corey Lazarus on the left of your picture as he tries to make his way through but can't quite find a way in the end. And as they all make the way up the hill, it's going to be Noel and Hammer together, but Noel backs out there on the inside, letting his teammate take the lead of the 2 of them. And as they make the way up the rise, Nathan Foster battling side by side with Oisin Hereford, trying to get the inside into 3 here. He's going all for Izzy and Empire Motorsport driver. He's going to get it, or is he, as they make the way down the hill, still side by side as they come in towards the S's here. Foster's not backing out, and meanwhile Hereford does have to back out in the end. 2 does not go into 1 through there. It's a nice move from Nathan Foster, full commitment all the way through. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, Cameron Smith moves up to P14, gain the place versus Jeremy DeBoer as they make the way on through. Noel versus Hammer have changed places further up the field from what I'm hearing, but meanwhile further back, Charlie Max, they're battling side by side with Dirk Bowes as they head in towards turn number 6. They bounce around the outside here, Max backing off and going onto the brakes on the inside, and as they come on through, not wanting to compromise the line and protect the car nice and early on this opening lap. as they go into turn number 7. Max there looking to come back immediately now. I think he's finding a bit more grip in the car as he powers his way out of the corner. We look from them up to Chris Eddersford, but after a difficult qualifying session, the UK Sim Racing admin team driver, he's already gained 1 place in class and 1 place overall up to P11 now, and he's got the pressure of Casper Tunstead behind. Tunstead has an awful start by comparison, losing 2 places in class and what was 2 overall. As they head onto the brakes here for the turn 10 chicane, you can see Eddersford defending hard. Meanwhile, tucking onto the back of DDD Bliming as they make their way out onto 11. But here, this is where the concertina starts to kick in as they make their way from 11 into 12. Everybody knows the towel as they roar the way through and on towards lap number 2. But after 1 lap of racing, it's Thomas Cope who leads ahead of Philip Hammer P2, Nicholas Knoll P3, Corey Lazarus P4, Simon Bamber P5, followed by Nathan Foster P6, then Oisin Ever P7, Emil Coopers P8, Silver leader Marcel Fritsch P9, DDD Blaming P10, and meanwhile Cameron Smith is your bronze leader P14. We've had some drama further down the order from what I'm hearing, ladies and gentlemen. Multiple drivers off at turn number 1, and as we look back here, well, this is going to be, I believe that Sean Cranny Swatch picking his way through. Sean Dobie is in P2 of the bronze class. He dropped 1 place overall, but still staying where he started. And in fact, we can show you how many places and gained or lost from our drivers as we do look at Sean Dobie making his way through turn number 5 right now. Lose the rear end of the car, catches it in time with the Clicks Racing driver, almost having a brush with the wall, but in the end that's going to enable Alistair Hatcher to come through, and Hatcher gains another place. Alistair Hatcher, one of the biggest gainers at the start, gaining 6 places overall, 4 in the bronze class. He's come through from a P6 starting class to P2 now as he makes his way on through turn number 7 and up towards 10 he goes. And right now the Britain for ATEC Tech Racing sign absolutely on force here as he charges his way down the back straight. As he does so, meanwhile, looking a little bit further up the road, DDD Bliming here, battling with West Chris Eddersford, and I think picking his way on through for position, the DBR driver, getting it done there, or in fact holding it off Chris Eddersford. We should correct ourselves, Eddersford trying to go on the attack as they make their way through turn 11 into 12, and as they come through onto lap number 3, well, these two right now still close together, no sign of a baiting between them as they make their way onto the next lap. But meanwhile, looking for that fire loud, chasing after Mark Cadmore, the battle of the Rexy machine versus the privateer from Hong Kong as they make their way on towards the next lap here. Will Vilau right now looking to go on the offensive. Cadmore going defensive by comparison, and there we can see the pressure building between the two. And keep in mind that Cadmore started from the very back of the field. He wasn't able to put a lap in qualifying, but they got the car out there now after difficulties in qualifying. Great to see. We do have a car in the pits, dirt bounce in the pit lane, but otherwise everybody else still racing at this time. So therefore plenty of racing to go as we do see Vilau gaining the place on Cadmore. Cadmore making a mistake there at turns 3 and 4, and now gains the place, moves up towards P4 in the bronze class, P20 overall. Nice move there from the 15 driver as he heads onwards towards turn number 6. As they do so, meanwhile, we do come back to what happened at the start of the race, ladies and gentlemen. Already coming towards the end of the open lap onto lap number 2, and here's the incident in the bronze class. Now we're going to look at dirt bounce on the left of your picture for RPM as they made their way into turn number 1, and contact there with the number 19, a Charlie Max, bounce into the wall, comes across, he's got no control of the car, collects as well what was Ben Kirby. Well, in fact, I believe that was Charlie Max being forced off, and it was Ben Kirby who was the original contact with bounce, and also being sent wide there was Glenn Humberstone, a nasty moment between them. We take a look back at that from Ben Kirby's perspective. Right on board here, the All-Spares connection stripe coming over, practicing a free wide, and in the end, just a small tap, Simpson sliding across the road, and you can see right in front of him everything else that played out there. Bounce and Kirby both in a bit of an awful instant, and well, for Bounce in particular, that's led to him having to come into the pits. Kirby's carrying on, but definitely not the way they went at the start, and particularly for Ben Kirby, a disastrous start, given the fact he needs to beat Charlie Max if he wants a shot at taking that bronze championship trophy. But as they make the way on through, and we're back to our live pictures, ladies and gentlemen. Only 5 minutes into the race in here, we look back to the gold class, and in particular we look to Nathan Foster, who finds himself on a 4-way train as led by Simon Bamber, then Soishin Heather, then Foster, and then Emil Koopmans. So right now they're all running for P5 here in the gold class. They made the way from turn 6 into 7. You can see there the camber of the road, that depression towards the apex, naturally catering to an improved apex speed. And as they make the way at turn number 7 right now, all down the back straight they go. And this is where the drivers right now will be trying to see who's running perhaps a little bit more rear wing compared to the other, in the fact that in the toe they may gain more compared to their rival. And this is where you can do some of the research early on in your rivals as they make their way down towards turn number 10. You can see that Oisin Heather taking a little bit of an early peak versus Bamber. Can't quite find a way at the moment, but getting eager, trying to tease out an opportunity here. But the UK Sim Racing admin team driver comes out of turn 10B, gets it nicely planted on exit. As he makes his way through 12 onto the next lap. We're hearing that Ben Kirby's leaving the pit lane very shortly. Will Bamber here under pressure. Oisin Hereford looking up the inside. Hereford getting an absolutely colossal run out the final couple of corners. Into turn 1 he goes. Now can Bamber cut it back to go on the attack into 2? No, he can't, and Oisin Hereford gains a place as they make their way in towards turns 2, 3 and 4, and Oisin Hereford right now eager to make further progress, because right now things with the fish as they stand, it would mean that what will be Impulse Racing will take the team's championship over Olympus XGD6 with the results. But as he heads on through here, meanwhile we do look to Emil Koopmans, who right now getting very close to the back of Nathan Foster on the run out of turn number 5. You see Simon Bamber after being passed, I think just a little bit of pace has fallen out of the car, and perhaps right now Bamber just trying to get himself back in the rhythm here as they come from 6 into 7. But it's Oisin Hereford who is pulling away from this train. Koopmans incredibly close, going into turn 7 Apex versus Foster there. And I think Emil Koopmans right now very eager to make some progress, but he's just been held at bay here by the 2 cars in front as they make the way on down the run of the back straight. And as they do, charging away on through here up towards what will be turn number 10. And we look to the helicopter that's following the drivers as they make the way along, and what is going to be Foster looking up the inside of Bamber as they head onto the brakes here. And as he goes on through the left into right, Nathan Foster getting it nicely and smoothly done. Bamber not putting up too much of a defence here. I think right now Simon Bamber might be focusing more on the later portion of the race, the second half, where that tyre preservation will start to come back and reward him over the time as he goes on. But interesting to see who's pushing and who's perhaps holding a little bit in reserve right now. And these endurance races always do have that effect, because the tyres on these Porsche 992 Cup cars, they only normally last at full attack 20 minutes if that. So therefore it does mean when you've got to try and extend the lifespan for 45 minutes, you do have an opportunity to run them at full attack, but not for long if you want to have a tyre that's able to work to the very end of the race. And therefore you've got to pace the tyre, you've got to take it through a natural cycle of being pushed, then relaxed in order to get the most out of the compound. But as Foster makes his way at turn number 5, and meanwhile heading on down as Ben Kirby, who's pulled over to the side there. Blue flags being respected by Ben Kirby, and a very painful situation for the Bronze Championship contender as he makes his way out of turn 6 into 7. But meanwhile we look back to the Impulse Racing pair of Philip Hammer for Impulse Racing ahead of teammate Nicholas Nold, and as they head on down you can see Thomas Cope there 1.4 seconds clear and just gradually pulling away little by little at the moment as Nold and Hammer make the way on through. And right now all they need to do is stay as they are and focus on keeping Cope within touching distance and making sure that they do not let, should he arrive on the scene, Oisin Hereford to get ahead of them, and then they will be picking up that gold at Drivers' Championship and also what will be that team's championship together as he makes his way across the timeline. But meanwhile, looking from them back to Emil Koopmans, he makes his way through at the final corner here, very close to the back of Bamber now. Bamber under pressure into turn number 1, they're going to lap number 7, and well, no defence from Bamber here. He's trying to see if Koopmans is going to go overly deep into the corner, and Koopmans carries a lot of speed. He does almost go wide. Bamber exactly on the cutback now as they head over the riser 2 and into 3, but in the end Bamber just not in a position to really go on the counter attack, and therefore Emil Koopmans does get the place. But meanwhile, could it be that Bamber right now waiting to see if his rivals in front will take too much out of the car towards the end? I suspect he is. I think Simon Bamber is playing the long game here, and we'll be waiting to see whether he'll be rewarded. It is a long game of motorsporting chess, if you will. But meanwhile, looking back, some drivers getting very close together in battles further down the order. This is the battle for P20. Glenn Humberstone ahead of Charlie Max with Fire Loud just behind. And these are 3 all running together right now, separated by 8 tenths apiece from driver to driver. And as Max makes his way in towards turn number 5, knowing that all he's got to do now is finish this race ahead of Ben Kirby. And it was clear with Ben Kirby being a lap down currently due to damage picked up after that contact with Dirt Bounce. A very painful way, not the way that either of them wanted it to go. But the 621 driver keeping his head down and carrying on into turn number 7. As he makes his way through the right hand here, we can see that Humberstone starting to pull away. Meanwhile, Fire Loud is getting closer and closer to Max, having to look a little bit more rearward rather than forward. He makes his way over the rise and in towards what is at turn number 9 shortly. Meanwhile, we do look back up to Nicholas Grönström here. Grönström, the big sim racing driver, as you can see from the car standings on the left hand side of your picture, currently running P16 overall, but in the silver class running P7 and chasing after Chris Edison. The gap between the two of them almost up to 2 seconds now, as Grönström on that lap was in fact 2 seconds a lap faster almost, well, in fact 1.6 seconds to be a bit more precise. So I think that Edison perhaps an error on the previous lap was costing him quite dear, but that being beside the point, they does look so here. Nicholas Grönström trying to bring that gap down as much as he possibly can, and as he makes his way down and through the S's here. We do have a replay to bring you, ladies and gents, from what I'm hearing in my ear, and that's from across to Sean Dobie, who was at the time running P2 in the bronze class, but this was on lap number 2, and what exactly happened to Sean Dobie? Clicks racing driver at the time was making his way down to the turn 10 chicane onto the brakes. He went, Looks like he's missed his braking point a bit. In fact, just turning a little bit early, and I think coming down the gearbox very aggressively, and the car going around there. Sean Dowie doing well to look up the inside, but then just not able to settle the car down, and the Scotsman having to pick up the pieces now. And well, he's got plenty of time to go, and to be fair, Dovie's laps right now looking quite good in the fact he is in P23 or his P6 in the bronze class, but he is lapping as fast as the leaders of the class currently, and that being Cameron Smith. Return to your live racing pictures, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, speaking of Cameron Smith, here he is. He's picked his way past Matt Strand, only wants to go off camera whilst we're looking at the replay as he heads on through at turn number 12. And right now, the Britain that's still pushing on here, looking to pick up more places, looking for another top 10 overall if he can, and that will be an achievement to make another top 10 overall after the one at Imola last time out. Makes his way up the rise here. The Britain in the number 23, definitely holding nothing back here, but of course there's always the big question: is he pushing the car too hard early on in the race, and is he losing what is a tyre life towards the end of it as he makes his way down on through the Essen Casper Tunstall right now? We'll be thinking one thing only, which is it a silver driver behind me? If not, can I keep them at bay, or do I need to let them go given the fact I'm not racing them within my class, and therefore there's no point to keeping them behind me? And that's the thing that we'll have to see whether Cameron Smith makes the call, and then Casper Tunstall makes the call as well, whether these two work around one another or whether they try to work together for the common goal of chasing down that DDD up the line. As he makes way out of the corner, Tunstall now under pressure. You can see in fact we're right towards the rear of the Danishman's car. The 104 only half a second clear of Tunstall, and half a second clear of Cameron Smith, I should say. And Smith right now closing a significant rate of knots. In fact, on that previous lap, 3/10 gain, I suspect it's going to be a similar situation come the end of this lap as they make the one down into the pressure for turn number 10. Onto the brakes they go, and where is Smith gaining? Well, it does seem to be in the open half the lap. Smith just has a little bit more performance in the car right now, but again, he might be taking more out of the tyres in terms of the amount of run he's putting on those left side tyres through the S's, and that could be the difference here as the gap comes down. The lap delta that time around is a 21.89 for Tunstall, a 21.41 for Smith, so 4.5 tenths, almost 5 tenths being gained there, and right now it definitely seems to be what is Smith's day to try and pick off another couple of drives before it's all said and done. As he makes his way on down through turn number 4, you can see how close Smith is now as he heads on through the corners and in towards turn number 5. And as we look back to the overall standings for how everybody fits together there, we still do have 25 runners in this race, one a lap down, that's Ben Kirby. We also do have the one retirement, it was Mark Cadmore, unfortunate there for the Rexy machine, but still I'm sure we'll see him again in next season. It hasn't been the season to shout home about for Cadmore, sadly. That's the way it goes sometimes, but meanwhile I'm hearing in my ear Chris Edison had to run wide out of turn number 6 into the UK Sim Racing admin team, who was very close to the back of Jeremy DeBova only moments ago, has now lost out and has got it all to do again, and we're pushing hard but not quite able to push hard enough in order to get the job done. And meanwhile from Chris Edisford, we do take a look back to Charlie Max, who's still chasing after what is Craig Schill, and in fact Craig Schill has found his way back to Max quite recently. It would seem as though the Humberstone's been able to make the move, and therefore now Charlie Max trying to go on the offensive here, and it looks like Max has got all the speed he needs as they make their way down the back straight. Shill's going to defend in the middle of the road. The way Max goes to the outside, and now going defensive on the inside is Schill, but before they can get to the braking zone, already Max a nose ahead, and I think Craig Schill then decides to lift out slightly in order just to tuck in behind it, and no, he may not be able to outbrake Max, particularly on such a tight line early on. So Charlie Max now to P3 in the bronze class. His next target will be Alistair Hatcher, who is the best part of what is 3 seconds up the road, and his next target 16 seconds up the road will be Cameron Smith after that. But Max taking it one place at a time, and like you say, Chuck Moore there, it is a bit of a sad moment with the bronze championship being decided potentially by an early instant, but that's the way it goes sometimes. But then again, let's not write it off yet, ladies and gentlemen, given the fact we've seen many a time in motorsport in history when it all looks like the championship is all over, only to see something absolutely ludicrous happen on the final lap. And well, could we see more of that today? Because Ben Kirby is still in this race. He may be a lap down, but it's a long 45 minutes at Road Atlanta, and peril awaits at every corner in the US state of Georgia. But meanwhile, coming to Casper Turnstead, who right now losing a place only moments ago to Cameron Smith, has now got Matt Strand for position, looking up his outside, and as they head down into the pressure here, onto the brakes they go. Turnstead tucking it in behind him. Turnstead not fighting this too hard at the moment. I think Turnstead more cognizant of the fact he needs to protect the car for later on, and that's not going to help protect the rear tyres of Matt Strand with power oversteer as he comes out of 10B. And as they make their way through 12, Tunstead looking from left to right here as he tries to go from outside to inside on the cutback. He's going to be right there as they make the way up towards turn of 1. We jump aboard with the Danishman here, but backs off as he comes on through the opening corner and up the rise into turns 2, 3, 4 they go. And will Tunstead right now definitely trying to bait out a mistake from Strand here. And I do think that right now Casper Tunstead really reserving all the pace in the car for the final 15 minutes of this race and opening his rivals, take a lot of life out of the tyres by comparison as they make their way through the S into turn number 5. You can see that Tunstead much earlier on the apex approach, offsetting the dirty air of Strand's car. Of course, the waft of dirty air in the slipstream, and as they make their way towards turn 6, the gap opens up to 4 tenths, but Tunstead right now they're waiting to pounce. Strand goes a bit deep beyond the apex. Strand making mistakes here. He wants to keep doing so because otherwise Tunstead will have a good run back if it's going to be 4 tenths out of turn number 7. And Tunstead gets the better exit here, but we're fighting a bit of power over it initially, but now in the draft will gain little by little. Gap now down to 3 tenths here as they reach the halfway point of the back straight. I don't think he's going to be close enough to look for a move, but this is going to give Tunstead the confidence that if he keeps the pressure on, the place will come back to him quite naturally, or at least he'll be hoping so, as they make their way onto the brakes here into the turn 10 chicane. But meanwhile, just behind them, Jeremy De Boer, your champion-elect here for DBR, the Belgian making his way on through his turn at number 11 into 12 right now, as he comes on down and through at the long right-hander of 12. Looking all set and knowing that Tunstead's the only driver he needs to finish remotely close to. All De Boer needs to do is finish this race, and Tunstead would need to not win the race in order for De Boer to take the crown. But Lucas Mono absent from the grid today. But as he makes his way on through, we look back up to the gold class for a brief moment. Change of position for P2 here between Nicholas Nold and Philip Hammer, with Nold again ahead there in the run in towards turn number 6. Looks as though it's a position swap for the two teammates. Corey Lazarus 1.6 seconds behind in the rear of the picture, and right now the New Zealand Blackout Motorsport OPR. He's not out of this yet, and he's definitely looking for a podium here, and he will chase down those Impulse Racing drivers. He won't be concerned about their championship. All he'll be concerned about is his prospects of potentially finishing third in the championship when all is said and done, as he makes his way onwards towards the turn 10 chicane and down into the break he goes. But as he does so in the number 4, seeing his rivals in the distance, and now he's got to catch them little by little. As he makes his way out to turn 10 and in towards 11, a little bit of trivia for you, ladies and gentlemen. The turn 10 chicane not being an original part of the Road Atlanta circuit. Indeed, when this circuit was originally constructed many a year ago, the turn 10 chicane was not there. Indeed, the back straight ran way up to where turn 11 now is today, and then you can imagine the run through turn 11 was a much higher velocity run compared to what it used to be, and the chicane was introduced for safety reasons, given the speeds that drivers are reaching into what is now turn 11. Well, they were absolutely sky high and led to a number of notable incidents, not quite fatalities as far as I'm aware, but some very serious incidents of that, and that's why the chicane was introduced in order to slow the run from what's turn number 6 these days all the way through nowadays turn number 11, but also provide a major overtaking opportunity through the chicane, and then further overtaking opportunities on the rise of 11 in towards turn number 12. So a little bit of trivia for you about the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. But as we do look from Corey Lazarus to Casper Tunstead, still chasing down Matt Strand, and one of the closest battles on circuit right now, on his way out to turn at number 5 and in towards 6. See they're bobbing and weaving in the draft, trying to stay with Strand in the tow. Strand getting the better run out to turn number 5. Though Tunstead going slightly behind, and that will have cost him a couple of tenths, but not too much in the long term. With Jeremy De Boer right there behind them. The best part, 1.1 seconds and still closing. So De Boer could be a threat here to Tunstead in terms of his aspirations of trying to get the best possible result here today ahead of his one championship rival. But as they make the way in towards turn number 10 right now, of course you'll be waiting to see how it plays out in the long haul. With Chris Edison here also on a recovery drive right now as he makes his way through the turn 9 right-hander. Down into turn 10 he goes. He's got, what is it, Nicholas Grunstrom behind him, and Grunstrom staying right there with Edisford, and with the Swede right now not quite at the pace to potentially find a way past, but the one thing he does have in hand is the tow, and therefore he'll be hoping that Edison pulls him up to the likes of De Boer and Tunstead to get him right into the fight for a potential top 5, if not a podium position on the silver podium. He makes his way onto another lap. We do say hello to Ryan Walker in the Twitch chat. I hope you're doing well, Ryan. You had a great day today, and if not, hopefully we can turn that frown upside down into a smile with some classic Porsche Cup racing. But as things stand, after the best part of 20 minutes of racing here at Road Atlanta in our season finale, Thomas Cope still leading the way for Olympus XGD6 by the best part of 2.8 seconds over Nicholas Nold, the Impulse Racing driver. In fact, has pulled away from Philip Hammer and will pulls the fault of the run through the field. Philip Hammer's had a mistake somewhere, and I'm hearing he's had an off track. We'll have to take a look at what exactly happen shortly. But the Impulse Racing's right now down at P3. Corey Lazarus right there behind him. And well, this is not the way that Hammer will want it to go, because I do believe that right now Hammer can get away with finishing P3 if Cope does take what is the win. But with respect to this, the fact being right now that this could be very close between them, and well, if it does go any further down the order, if Corey Lazarus was to get ahead of Hammer and then Hammer was to finish P4 and Cope was to take the win, that could be the result that sees things go the way of Thomas Cope. So it is all in a delicate balance right now when it comes to what is the standings of the gold class, and at any moment we could see a turn in that. But meanwhile, what we do is take a turn to take a look back at what exactly happened to Philip Hammer, and here's the replay from the previous lap. It's coming out of turn number 5, going through the left-hander as he made his way out the car, bouncing around and having to hold it together as he went to the grass. Well, not as perhaps near miss as we've seen some other drivers, almost gone to the tyre barrier there, but still I can imagine for Philip Hammer, he might have had heart in mouth for a brief moment and having to think, right, I've got to get this car back together before it all goes to the wall. As he makes his way on around there, we can confirm that Philip Hammer finishes P3 and Cope takes the win. It will go to Philip Hammer just about as we're to understand it, but any further down the order, it will go the way of Corey, well, not will go the way of Corey Lazarus, but Corey Lazarus will send things the way of Thomas Cope. So therefore it is all definitely to play for between the rivals right now as they continue to fight and charge their way on around. And as he heads in towards turn 10A and 10B here, Hammer definitely being closed up by Lazarus, and I think right now the Blackout Motorsport OPR driver knows he's got to pounce soon, because we have seen moments like this over the course of the season where Lazarus is able to get close to Hammer, but he's not able to mount a big enough challenge for position, and I think the only way he can do so is when Hammer's not quite up to 100% pace, and that's what happens when you do have an off-track. Even the best of Hammer being one of the very best in this grid, when you have a run wide, your tyres will dirt on them, and it does normally take a couple of laps to get the tyres right back where they need to be, and as you as a driver, you have to set yourself down, you have to put behind you that you made a mistake, and the professionals, they do it very quickly, but even so, it's a small interruption to that rhythm, and therefore, right now, Lazarus has got to seize, and as we can see both of them running very wide there. Hammer having a little bit of a moment on the rear end once again, coming out of turn number 5. It looks as though that exit curve really upsetting the balance of the rear end of Hammer's car compared to Lazarus as they make their way through 6 into 7. He's right on the back of his rival here, where you couldn't ask for a better opportunity, but he comes out of the corner, power oversteer, and I think he gets a little bit eager with the throttle pedal, and Lazarus will now lose all that he's gained, and the gap gets reset back to 4.5 tenths here as they make the way down the back straight in towards turn number 10, following on very with the best part of 1.3 seconds to Nold further up the road, but Nicholas Nold right now, I can imagine, will be looking to try and consolidate P2, but he also wants to stay within touch of his teammate just in case they need to swap things around towards the end of the race for the championship. But we'll have to see. Keep on, Oisin Hereford is 6.5 seconds behind, so right now Oisin Hereford not really able to get involved in this fight. That does take a little bit of pressure off Impulse Racing with regards to the team's championship. If Hereford was on the back of this right now, I can imagine they might be starting to panic a little bit more, but then again, we've still got half the race to go. We're only halfway through the 45 minutes plus the final lap to go, and therefore anything can happen before all is said and done as the sun gradually sets here near the town of Brazelton in the US state of Georgia. But meanwhile, we look back to this man, currently P11, your bronze leader of Cameron Smith, and he's looking to try and gain another overall position for P10, and he's going for it here versus Didi Valomi as they make the way into the opening corner. On the inside he goes, and Smith picking up another place. Valomi not fighting it too hard, I think focusing more on holding onto class position, which will be P2. Runner-up spot of the class today, but behind them Matt Strand and Casper Tunstead, and I think it will be Vliming who is being the smarter driver here in the fact that just simply staying out of fighting with a driver another class and opting instead to make sure he was able to run his best possible pace and try to keep Matt Strand and Casper Tunstead at bay for as long as he possibly can. As he makes his way onwards towards turn number 6, he might be looking in his rearview mirror just a little bit more every so often and recognising the fact that pressure is building at a distance. But as the drivers do make their way on through, we'd just like to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, that voting for your driver of the day is now open. Link to the driver of the day Google form has been posted in the Twitch chat, so do get voting for your driver of the day. So if you need a bit more time to vote for your driver of the day because the racing hasn't finished or come close to finishing yet, the driver voting is open all the way to midnight tonight. That is midnight time Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, or Universal Coordinate Time, UTC. But do cast your votes, let us know, and we'll announce the driver of the day to our drivers after the racing today when all those votes are tallied for. And as they make their way on through, Well, glad to hear you're doing well, Ryan, and very nice to hear the payment that compliment there. Glad to hear you enjoyed the racing and broadcast as well. Van der Strand makes his way off through turn number 12 and onwards towards turn number 1. Right now starting to open up a little bit more of a gap on Casper Tunstead, and these two have been exchanging the lap times. Tunstead right now, again, we do believe that Tunstead is not running at full attack pace. Instead, he's actually been running off pace for a little time in order to protect the car and also protect the tyres. And to put that in perspective with regards to the time history, or the lap time history we should say, I'm going to show you that very shortly between the two of them. In fact, we can bring that up on screen now on the bottom of your screen. As you can see, Casper Tunstead has been effectively matching Strand's lap times back and forth for the most part, albeit on that previous lap we did see Strand pull out towards the best part of half a second, but this lap he's getting a bit closer together, so this is why we do believe that Casper Tunstead is just pacing himself to his rivals around him right now, as well. He won't be pacing himself when he makes mistakes like that coming out of turn number 7, a little bit more power oversteer than the rear tyres. That rear left tyre might be starting to overheat to a degree, or starting to run a little bit thin on life by comparison with its sister tyres, as he makes his way on down towards turn at number 10. Right now, Casper Tunstead will be hoping not to do that again anytime soon, because that could have seen the car go around. That's the last thing he'll want to do. And meanwhile, looking from them to what is Philip Hammer and Corey Lazarus here, the battle for P3 still fresh in the mind for both drivers. They make their way down through the S's. They're on lap number 20 with Nicholas Nold only 1.1 seconds up the road. Meanwhile, Thomas Covey is now 3.5 seconds clear of the battle for P2 through to P4. So therefore, Cope really running away with things. Meanwhile, one driver's not running away with things. Here's side by side coming through the S's almost. Simon Bamber attacking what is Emerald Koopmans as they make their way on through the left-hand of turn number 5. Koopmans under absolutely gargantuan pressure as they head in towards turn number 6. Now to go defence on the inside. Bamber looking around on the outside. He's got the road camera to do this. It is a 2-wide corner at turn number 6. He'll flatten out into 7 as they head onto the brakes. Well, Bamber right now has got to go for the cutback or just tuck into the toe and hope he gets the better exit. He's going to go for the latter here as he powers his way out. And we jump on board with the 912 as he makes his way closer and closer. He's still got 2/3 of the straight to go here, building up to in excess of 150 miles an hour already as he goes into 6th gear. And now looking to the outside here as they make their way down the hill into the braking zone. And as they do, it's going to be Bamber on the left, Koopmans on the right. Koopmans still there, but he can't quite get the car stopped in the long distance compared to Bamber. And Bamber takes the place now, moving up to P7 in the gold class and overall. But he makes his way out of turn number 10. A little bit of slide there coming out the corner means that Koopmans is still fresh in the mind as they make the way through the final corner onto another lap. Both drivers running very wide. They're coming out to turn number 12, pushing it to the absolute limit. Nothing being left behind, but they've got to be careful of those off tracks. Pick up too many of them, and you may be receiving a drive-through penalty before all the racing is done and dusted. But right now, Simon Bamber does confirm that P7 off of Emil Koopmans, or at least for that lap, and going on to what is lap number 21. But from them, we do look to Craig Schill versus Fai Lau. Fai Lau having recently found his way past Craig Schill, in fact, and these two running together nose to tail almost. 4 tenths between them as they head in towards turn at number 10. And this is the battle for P5 in the bronze class. But how did Fai Lau make his way ahead, I hear you ask? Well, here's the replay. So it's in the drag race down towards what was turn at number 10. Lau on the left, and meanwhile Schill on the right. And as they turned around the camera there, Schill having the inside line and Lau going all the way round the outside. And in the end, Schill just not having enough coverage on the brakes in order to be able to battle to the inside. And now getting a good exit initially. In fact, getting quite a poor exit there. But Schill just not able to capitalise as we do return to your live pictures, ladies and gentlemen. I do believe there's now been a swap of position with Fai Lau having an off track at turn number 1 off camera from what I'm hearing in my ear, and therefore the Hong Kong driver now falling back to what is P6 in the bronze class, but still he's only 1 second off of Schill. In fact, he's 2.6 seconds. Let's correct ourselves after that off track, and therefore now he's got a bit of work to do, but you never know, he can still get back into it. Meanwhile, looking a bit further up in the bronze class, we've got the battle of P3 here in the bronze class, or P20 overall, as we show you those class standings on the left-hand side of your screen. And this is Alistair Hatcher for 86 Racing Sign, who's been chased down by Sean Dobie. And Sean Dobie, of course, was P2 early on the race, and to an unfortunate error saw him spin at turn 10A. And therefore, right now, the Scotsman trying to come back for a spot on the podium. He's only got one drive to do before he's into P3, and that is Alistair Hatcher. As they make the way down, Dobie looking up the inside of Hatcher, defends in the middle of the road here, and both of them right now don't want to lose out, but Hatcher goes very deep after a lockup from Dobie, so both drivers getting it wrong there, albeit Sean Dover's small lockup compared to Hatcher taking the trip to the grass and rally crossing his way across the end of the lap. And as they make the way on through turn number 12 and on to the next one, Sean Dover will now know he's got the pressure on Hatcher, and if he can keep this pressure on, he may be able to go Hatcher into another error as they make the way up the hill through through one. And you see Dobie there much more in control of his lines by comparison and carrying so much speed on through the opening couple of corners here and keeping that pressure onto Hatcher. And that's exactly what you want to do in this race. You just want to constantly be a threat when you're chasing after your rival, and you want to be more and more larger and larger in their rearview mirror. And in the end, they spend more time worrying that they're going to end up making a mistake at some point as we jump on board here with the Scotsman in the 159 as he makes his way up towards turn number 6. The gap open up to half a second for a brief moan. 30 minutes this race complete, 15 still to go. Sun continues to set here in the United States of America, and Sean Dobie's aspirations to finish on the bronze podium are by no means going away anytime soon as he continues to chase after the 18th Tech Racing Scion driver of Alistair Hatcher. As they power their way down the back straight, you can see Hatch there bobbing a wee bit slightly on the back straight, trying to break the toe initially just to take a little bit of edge away from Dobie and keep that gap open as much as possible. But as they make their way down in towards turn number 10 this time, will there be a sign to lock up from either driver? No, it looks like both of them keep things under control at this time. Well, it goes to show how hard they were pushing each other on the previous lap as Dobie almost runs wide there to lift off the throttle slightly on the run out of 10B, just getting on the power too soon. Easy mistake to make, to be fair, for even the gold class drivers, and therefore the gap's going to open back up to half a second as they make their way on to the next lap. Dobie does seem to have a little bit more pace by comparison. Look at the line difference here. Sean Dobie very aggressive on entry into one, almost attacking or biting off the apex curve. Meanwhile, Hatcher much smoother run from outside to inside, and I think Dobie trying to offset the dirty air of his rival in front, but also having a more confidence in the rotation of the car. Perhaps a bit more rear ride height on Dobie's car by comparison, or perhaps a little bit less rear wing, actually enabling that car to rotate more as they make their way out of the corner. 159 driver right now, the Clicks Racing hitting the rev limiter there in 4th gear, so I think also perhaps a little bit flustered as he's pushing himself hard here, hitting the rev limiter, but he'll just need to cool himself down. I'm sure the team principal and me on the radio and say, you've got this, just keep your cool and carry on. But meanwhile, speaking of keeping cool and carrying on, well, the battle for P2 at the front of the field is definitely keeping calm at the moment. All I say that, in fact, it is a change of position here, and Corey Lazarus is up into P3 for Blackout Motorsport OPR. Now, how has this happened? We take a look back. So this was coming out of turn number 6 into 7, and it was a mistake from Hammer coming out into the braking zone for turn number 7, and that's led to Corey Lazarus moving back into P3. Now, we do believe, as we return to your live racing pictures here, ladies and gentlemen, that with this, as we see Corey Lazarus now moving up the inside, and because Noel, we return it right into the heat of the action. Noel on the inside, battling under braking, but Lazarus is going to do it all the way around the outside to inside here through turn 10 into 10B, and as he does so, Corey Lazarus now up into P2. Say it's not so, I think the team's championship will still go the way of Impulse Racing at this time, but right now, for what is Philip Hammer, that could be the Gold Drivers' Championship going away very gradually as they make their way to turn 1, but Noel's coming back immediately here. The Impulse Racing driver absolutely on the offensive. Side by side they go up the hill, a little tap between the two, but nothing in it as they make their way in towards turns 2 and 3. Noel on the inside, but Hammer around the outside defends, not Hammer, Lazarus around the outside defends it well, and as they make their way down through the S's right now, Corey Lazarus absolutely watertight with battling for P2, and like you say, Bedmo, in the Twitch chat there, Lazarus done a great job of building himself up to this battle and done a lot of tyre saving, because right now the New Zealander is absolutely on a charge here as he makes his way through turn 6 into 7. When he comes on through the right hand, going on shortly onto that back straight, will we see a counter attack here from Noel? Because Lazarus right now, whatever he's been doing to the tyres, he's been protecting them absolutely incredibly, because that gap holding, but it is going to descend here in the time. Hammer's going to be there with them. It's not over yet, we've still got plenty of time in this race. The laps are running out at the same time, and here comes Noel once again. You can see the difference in speed of the cars here with the tow, and as he heads onto the brakes, will Noel up the inside into the chicane. Through left into right they go. Lazarus cuts him behind, he doesn't fight this all the way round to the inside of 10B, and I think Lazarus, knowing he's got the better car in terms of the condition of the tyres, to go back on the offensive on the next lap. But remember, every lap he fights, he'll take extra life out of the tyres now, and he'll start to push himself towards parity with the Impulse Racing drivers. And as they make their way towards turn number 1, Hammer on the back of his rival as they make their way out the rise. And right now the number 60 driver, he knows he's got to get involved. He's trying to take a sneak peek onto the inside of 2. Up in on the outside for 3, but it's a return to a cutback, but the car bouncing around as it drops off the turn 3 apex curve, and Hammer just cannot find a way in as they make their way on through the S's here again. Going in towards turn number 5, the corner that's called out Hammer more than most in this trio, and as they head on through, you can see that Hammer just not able to carry the speed through the left-hander compared to his rivals. The car just doesn't wants to combine, therefore he's got to take the pace out of the car to a degree, but with Noel now getting in front of Lazarus, that does mean that Noel can try and control the race of the battle for P2, and therefore he can bring Hammer back into it as he manages that pace differential. But Hammer here really right now up against the ropes as they make the way in towards turn number 10, long run down the back straight, and Noel once again, who we briefly lose and then see materialise from the internet ether as they make the way through 9 and down towards the braking zone. Noel defending the inside, Lazarus looking around the outside here. Will he cut it back? Will he just commit to outside inside? He does cut it back in the end, cuts back in to the position of P3, and Noel right now trying to hold on to P2 for as long as he can. Hammer's right there, but this battle is only allowing Thomas Cope to pull away even further. Cope now almost 7 seconds clear, and this is a pivotal battle for the final 2 spots of the golden overall podium, and depending on who finishes on that podium and where they finish, we could suddenly see Thomas Cope go from what was an outside chance of the championship to being a championship winner when all is said and done. But as they make the way on through what is turns 4 and down into the S's now, well, it's going to be close between them. Meanwhile, we're also keeping track of other battles on circuit, ladies and gentlemen, including Nicholas Gronstrom off camera has found his way ahead of Chris Edison in the battle for P6 in the silver class, P15 overall, with Chris Edison making a mistake. And here's Casper Tunstead still trying to chase down Matt Strand for the final spot of the silver podium, with Marcel Fritsch and DDD Verlaming in a little bit of a class of their own right now in terms of those respective lap times. But it's great to see still this battle between Strand, Tunstead and Dabova playing out 7.5 tenths between each of the 2 drivers. And as they make the way on through what is turn at number 4 and down towards 5, they go via the S's here, all the trio all coming together. But will we see any one of them pull a move one another? They're always nothing for an opportunity to go on the offense, but that's where the difficulty comes. But meanwhile, we look back to this battle for Pete overall, and Lazarus around the outside, and this time can he get to the inside of the exit of the chicane? He can indeed, and on 10B it's going the way to number 4 again as he makes his way over the rise, and Noel back to P3. Hammer still there, 4 tenths behind as they make the way on through turn number 12 and up towards turn 1. Lazarus defending to the inside, digging in here deep. He knows he wants to hold on, but as they make the way through the right-hander, here comes Noel trying to commit to the outside, can't quite find it. Hammer getting close as well. And whilst all this is playing out, ladies and gentlemen, we should point out these guys have been losing 1.5 seconds a lap to this man behind. Oystein Herford is closing, and he's closing very quickly. This could bring the Olympus X GD6 driver in. This could suddenly turn the team's championship on its head as well. We've only got what is 9 minutes of race left. In fact, make it 8 minutes plus the final lap, and Herford right now is going to be throwing everything at this to get involved. Meanwhile, further on through, Casper Tunstead up the inside of Matt Strand in towards turn number 1. That's for P3 in the silver class, and Tunstead finally making the move happen as they make the way over the rise, and Strand here now under pressure from Jeremy Dabova immediately as the Dane sails on through, and the Norwegian now under pressure from the Belgian behind as they make the way on down through turns 3 and 4 and into the S's they go. But as they do, Strand will be looking to try and take it 1 corner at a time and hold on for as long as he can. This battle's starting to appear left, right and centre on your screen, and as the battling does carry on, meanwhile looking a little bit further down the order, an update on the bronze championship leader Charlie Max. He's P2 in class for Ren's Racing by Connectors, and he's looking well and firmly on course with Ben Coe down P25 at a lap down, P7 in the bronze class. This is going to go the way of Max, but meanwhile we do need to look back to the battle for P2 overall, because here he goes onto another lap, onto lap 29, and again it's Noel trying to look around the outside of Lazarus into turn 1, can't quite find it this time. Meanwhile, Oystein Herford now only 1.5 seconds behind, closing every lap as well, and Hammer's just not able to get involved in this. It just looks as though for Philip Hammer, whatever pace is in the car, it's found wanting now as number 60 driver follows on through. The only thing I can imagine here is he's saving it up for the final 5 minutes 9. There's not enough in the car to be able to go on full attack for the entirety of the range of the race, so he's therefore got to give it one last squirt of the pace. But as he heads in towards turn number 6, Hammer is looking extremely vulnerable, and we do believe that right now, if things finish as they currently stand, Cope will be your champion by only a single point when it's all said and done, and if so, that will be the tightest margin we have ever seen the Porsche Cup go down to in its history. And goodness me, right now it won't be Hammer becoming a 3-time champion, it will be Thomas Cope levelling with Hammer as being a 2-time gold champion as they make the way to the end of this race. But still, let's not write it all over yet. Indeed, still plenty to come as our drivers make the way into the closing stages here. And again, a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't voted for your driver of the day, if you haven't got the form on your screen and ready ready to use. There's another link in the Twitch chat if you want to do so. Votes close at midnight tonight, but focusing in on the racing. This time it's Nold on the inside through 12, but can't quite find it. They make the way through onto lap number 30. And you can see Nold right now having to get more and more creative in the moves, trying to sneak his nose in where it doesn't belong in order to put Lazarus off balance and try to get him to lose some pace in the car. But Lazarus right now absolutely glued to P2. And the number 4 driver here doing everything in his power to hold on to the run-up spot in this race today. And with it, it could be the opportunity to take what would be, if not P3, definitely P4 in the Gold Drivers' Championship. So Lazarus has a vested interest in this as well. And as they make the way out turn 5 and in towards 6, you can see Oystein Heaven only a second away from the battle right now. But as they briefly calm down through turn 6 and 7, we look to Sean Cranny-Swash, who's looking for a way past Chris Eddersford as they head in towards turn number 1. And as they do, going on to what will be the 41st minute of racing now. The Canadian right there behind his good friend and rivals. They make the way up the hill and in towards turns 2, 3 and 4. And will these two go a long way back in terms of their sim racing careers, having a race together the best part, I do believe, at least 3 or 4 years in the past. But as they make the way on down through the S's, right now Sean Cranny-Swash there, but in the dirty F, finding a face full of understeer and having to contest it as he makes the way out of the S's sequence through 5 and on towards 6. And Chris Edison right now just trying to hold on for the 7th place spot in the silver class before all is said and done today. But as they head on through turn at number 6. Meanwhile, we do look a little bit further up the order to Casper Tunstead, who right now continues to steer clear of Matt Strand, with Jeremy DeBova only what is double the distance behind. With Strand 3/10 off and then 6/10 to DeBova by comparison with Tunstead's car. And as they head down into the braking zone for turn at number 10, Tunstead I think will feel as though he's got this done as the wipers wave to clear the screen of any debris. As they come through 10A and 10B, we're going over the rise now. The 104 driver here just needs to hold on for what will be another 4 laps, we do believe, as he makes his way through the right-hander of turn number 12. And as they do, absolutely phenomenal pace they're shown by the camera in the apex curve. And going in towards turn at number 1 this time around. Instead, right now knowing that a mistake will be absolutely pivotal in terms of not making any of them if he wants to bring home this final spot on the podium. As he heads on down through the S's. Meanwhile, we look back to Lazarus versus Nold and Hammer. Riding on board, looking back from the rear of the number 4 car. Once again, 2 attempts here in this battle for P2. And as they head on down the road and in towards the braking zone here, we'll Nold very close. The overspeed fielding and looking up the inside as they make the way into left-hander. Lazarus still holding firm on the inside into 10B. So right now, Nold can get alongside. He most certainly can do that. But what he can't do right now is find a way to get the move completely done, unlike Lazarus. Meanwhile, now Hammer close behind, and then you do have Oystein Hereford only 7/10 off. And I think shortly Impulse Racing have got to make a decision to potentially swap Hammer and Nold around if they want Hammer to be able to take that gold championship, with the fact they'll still, I do believe, take what would be the team's championship if things were to finish as they overheard for P5. But they've got to now try and make the play because they're running out of time, and if Hereford gets any closer, it may make it impossible for Hammer and Nold to swap here. But as they make the way through turn number 5 and on towards 6, right now Lazarus proves to be the thorn in everybody's side in the gold class here, and we love to see it, of course, when he's shaking things up. And that's what New Zealand has been known for ever since his debut in the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup back in season 6. But as he makes his way in towards turn number 7 right now, things, like you say, Jock Moore, are absolutely cracking when it comes to racing, and are on a knife edge right now as we see there a small mistake from Nold run into the grass, sending him wide. That's going to pull him a little bit back off of the rear of Lazarus, but he's still right in there. And what is very noticeable is just how much speed Nold gains on the toe here. He's running a lot less rear wing compared to Lazarus, but Lazarus has got the car that's stable through the corners and is keeping absolutely comfortable. But as they make their way down to the braking zone here, Nold takes a peek, can't quite find it. Through left into right they go. 2 minutes on the clock, 2 more laps to go as Thomas Cope makes his way onto lap number 33, and here comes Nold looking up the inside out of 11 with Lazarus not in the best of runs. It's side by side as they make the way onto the next lap. Lazarus gives him the space. Here comes Hammer on the inside. It's 3-1 into turn 1. Are they all going to make it on through? Well, Hammer's taking the most daring of moves up the inside. Nold in the end has to back out, and as they do, Oystein Hereford comes on through, but as he heads up the hill, Hereford's going to look for P3. He's on the inside into turn number 3. There's contact, and Hereford sent to the grass. He's into the tyre barrier. My goodness, and Hammer carries on, and will in the end, Oystein Hereford saw the opportunity. He saw it was the only chance he was going to be able to take, and Hammer takes P3 back with Nold dropping a P4. Corey Lazarus still P2 throughout it all. My good lord, we need to take a look back at that for the simple reason so much happened in a short period of time, and well, with that, that could definitely wrap up the team's championship and it would mean that Hammer right now is on course to become your gold champion. Well, as he makes round through, we take a look back at what exactly happened. Whereas the run in towards turn number 1 as I try to round through, Hammer being bold here to be on the inside, and you'll see that Nold is going to back out immediately, knowing that Frieda's not going to 1, and as they made the way up the hill, Hammer then having to battle side by side here with Oystein Hereford. Now as they made the way through turn number 3 into 4, contact was made between the two of them here. We'll take another look back at the contact from the perspective of Oystein Hereford as he made his way into the corner. The Impex GD6 driver, I don't think we'll be too pleased with how this has played out. On the replay, looking up the inside into 3, side by side as they came into the corner, the tiniest bit of contact, and then Hereford's car bouncing off of the rear of Hammer's car when he lost the rear end. Well, not the way anybody wanted that to end, I can assure you. An absolutely dramatic end to the race in there in what was the gold class battle for P2 through to P5, and Oystein Hereford right now will be absolutely gutted with how that's ended. I'm sure if you're an Olympus XGD fan right now, you'll be feeling the same. But meanwhile, well, only moments ago we saw a three-way fight for what was second place overall, and now we're seeing a three-way fight for its third place in the silver class as Jeremy Dover picks off 1, he picks off 2, he's ahead of Turnstone and Strand, and well, we need to take a quick look back at that, or do we? Have we got the time for it? I don't think we have, because our race leader's already coming on through, and with Jeremy Dover right now, holds on to P3 right at the close. Meanwhile, hold up, Corey Lazarus has dropped down the order to P2. I'm not quite sure what's happened, but meanwhile, Thomas Cope comes on through, and well, you've got to feel for him, ladies and gentlemen. He's thrown everything he can at this, and he is going to be your winner today as he makes his way on through, and it's been an absolutely dominant and deliberate drive from Thomas Cope. He is your winner for Olympus XGD6, but however, it's not going to be enough, and as this man makes his way through the last couple of corners, he becomes your 3-time gold champion in the Drivers' Championship. It's Philip Hammer who takes P2 for Impulse Racing in the end, ahead of Nicholas Nold, who takes P3 in a further turn event, and the Impulse Racing driver will cement what will be a team's championship crown for Impulse Racing ahead of Oystein Hereford, whose P4 in the end will not be enough alongside Cope's win to turn things around for Olympus XGD6. Nathan Foster will come on home P5 ahead of Corey Lazarus. Karen Smith will come on down very shortly to finish P9 and take your bronze win. And as he does so, it's 3 wins in a row ahead of another win for Marcel Fridge, your silver class winner today. But here comes what is going to be your silver champion. He's earned it all season. It's a 3-way fight for third place, and he takes that as well with him. Jeremy Dover for DBR is your silver champion with consistency reigning on through. But meanwhile, we've got another champion to crown, ladies and gentlemen. He's coming on through in what has been a rather uneventful race after the drama at the start, but he's made his way back into P2 in the bronze class. And all the way through the season, it's been him versus Ben Kirby. They're great friends off the circuit and on the circuit, but in the end, only one of the friends can win. And Charlie Max is your bronze champion for Season 8 of the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup in what has been an absolutely brilliant drive all season from Charlie Max. Goodness me, what a season it has been, and those are all your finishes across the line, ladies and gentlemen. We've had to be a bit brick and brack to make sure we've covered the champions and champion-elects as well as the class winners, but as our drivers do cool them down, Jeremy Doe celebrates there in the grass in the runoff area of the club course. You can understand the Belgian absolutely happy to be denied last season in what was a season-long battle with the likes of Chris Eddersford and company. Well, the Belgian absolutely in the end not letting it go. This time also Adam Creeves in amongst the mix there, if my memory does serve me correctly, but this time Jeremy Doe making it happen. And well, meanwhile, for what is Philip Hammer, I don't think he's going to quite believe how it's all ended the Impulse Racing drives. You can see there, he and teammate Nicholas Stoll pulling off to the side, and will Corey Lazarus, I have in my ear, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe ran out of fuel right at the end of the race, and with that ends up losing out. We will take a look back at what happened, but you can see Hammer and Nold already doing donuts together there. They know they've achieved something special today, and Hammer right now, I don't think he's going to quite believe in the end that despite all the misfortune that was barreling his way in the closing stages of the race, in the end it has worked out. Albeit, of course, everything subject to Stewart's decisions after the race, and that is only natural, it needs to be confirmed. But Philip Hammer is currently your provisional 3-time gold champion in the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup. Jeremy Debova is your silver champion, his first ever Silver Cup championship title, and Charlie Max is your bronze champion. As we do see him there doing some donuts of his own, albeit that being on I do believe, the run out of turn number 10, and well, as he does take the car for a few trips in circles, and what is Impulse Racing are your team's champions. But goodness me, and well, as we do take a look back at what happened to Corey Lazarus, I think it's only fair we take a look back, and here is what happened to Corey Lazarus right at the end of the race. And well, we do look at the pairs. They made their way out the final corner, the final few corners. I think that might be telling already that Lazarus is going quite slowly. And well, we jump on board, and indeed you can hear the car, ladies and gentlemen, and that is the sound that nobody wants to hear. Indeed, that is the sound of a car that hasn't got enough fuel to make it all the way to the very end. And for the New Zealand, the heartbreak, and well, credit where it's due to Corey Lazarus. He's definitely delivered to us today. Well, it's been such a good drive. Like you say, Medvo, he drove so well and really has been one of those drivers who's been in it to win it every single round of the season he's been on the grid. But still, it hasn't worked out his way. And with that, we come back to our live pictures. And well, we only do for a brief moment, because I think it's also fair we take a look back at how Jeremy Debova found his way to P3 in the silver class on the final lap. Indeed, we don't want to miss all of it. And here was that third place silver battle right at the end. And it was Matt Strand versus Casper Tunstead at first. This was on the final lap, going down the back straight. And as you can see here, the two of them side by side. Strand gets ahead, Tunstead tucks in, and Jeremy Debova here with a double toe. We're still there following the snake train of cars. Now we see Strand go defensive in the middle of the road, Tunstead to the outside. So where does Debova get involved here? I think this is going to be a run out of 10B. Strand goes very deep. Tunstead gets boxed in behind him. In fact, contact between the two of them. And Debova picks off one, picks off two, and comes on through. And what a brilliant piece of opportunism. And with Jeremy Debova in the end taking that third place in class ahead of Casper Tunstead, he will be grinning from ear to ear. I'm sure about that. But that's how the race ended there for third place in the silver class. And well, that is all the replays we are going to bring you, ladies and gentlemen, because we are due time. And well, with that, let's take you through those race results subject to any stewards' inquiries. And here they are. And as we can see, after a phenomenal 45 minutes of racing to wrap up the season and what's been a rollercoaster ride of racing at Road Atlanta, Olympus XGD6 Thomas Cope returns to the top step for the final race of the season. The 64 drive taking the win in an absolutely demonstrative demonstration of his prowess by 11.1 seconds over Impulse Racing's Philip Hammer and then Nicholas Knoll behind. But with that, it does mean that Philip Hammer is your gold champion for this season, and then behind with Nicholas Knoll in P3, it does mean that Impulse Racing will be your team's champions. As while Austin Hereford did finish P4 just behind, it won't be enough for the Olympus XGD6 team to turn around the standings. Nathan Foster P5 there for Empire Motorsport ahead of Corey Lazarus for Blackout Motorsport OPR, the driver you got to fill modes for in that brilliant battle for the podium, only to run out of fuel on the final lap. And then Simon C. Bamber P7 for UK Sim Racing admin team ahead of Emil Koopmans at Apex Missers. Cameron Smith in the end, your bronze winner, finishing P9, fights his way into the top 10 and beating the silver pack with it. And the privateer there ending this season on a high, there's no doubt about that. Ahead of Marcel Fritsch WS Racing Esports, and another win for the number 27 Austrian driver there. And he'll be absolutely pleased and proud as punch to have made it 2 wins this season in the end, and to pick up an endurance race win at that in a race that was controlled by him. And in the end, whilst he was only 6/10 of a second clear of DD Vloeming at the end, the DBR driver not able to come close enough in order to take the win away from him. Instead, it was second place for DD Vloeming ahead of Jeremy Debova, with the DBR driver there finishing at P12 overall and round off the silver podium. And focusing on our podium finishers in these overall standings, we've got 2 bronze podium finishers still to account for, and one of them is your bronze champion for this season, Charlie Max for Friends Racing by Connexus, who after that opening lap incident, already the lap 2 incident we should say, ended up having to fight to P2 and earning it the hard way, ahead of Alistair Hatch for ATEP Racing Siam, who in the end finishing a lap down on the leaders, but still a third place in class and holding off teammate Craig Shill to the line. We did have one retirement from this race, and that was Mark Cadmore, P26 there as listed, the priority in the Rexy machine, retiring what was 2 laps after the start of the race. Unfortunate for the 86 driver, but we hope to see plenty more from it in a future season. And now going on to the individual class finishing positions, and these are the ones which do count with regards to those points. We can see Thomas Cope there in the gold class, first and foremost taking the win ahead of Impulse Racing's pair of Philip Hammer and Nicholas Nold. But the Olympus XGD driver being then followed up by his teammate P4 for Oystein Hereford, but it being not enough for the team to turn over the team's championship, nor for Cope to turn over the gold championship. Nathan Foster P5, the Empire Motorsport driver, fending off Corey Lazarus at the line for Blackout Motorsport OPR, and then Simon Bamber and Emil Cummins completing your standings there, and one of the closest finishing fields of the gold class this season, it must be said, with only 26 seconds from first to last. And then as we come onto the silver class, we can see here Marcel Fritz, your confirmed winner for WS Racing Esports by 6.5 attempts over DBR's DDD Verlaming, and then further behind the second member of the team, albeit your silver champion for this season, Jeremy DeBover there. Behind him by only a 10-foot line, Casper Tunstead for Peak Sim Racing, and a further attempt to Matt Strand for Racing Lab Esports. Fantastic racing between the trio there, and it must be a special mention to both Casper Tunstead and Matt Strand for a superb fight for what they thought was P3 in the class, but ended up being P4 in the class when Jeremy DeBover did intervene. Nicholas Grunstrom at P6 for Peak Sim Racing in a good end to his season ahead of Chris Eddersford, with Sean Cranny-Swash, Glenn Humberstone and Dirt Bounce wrapping up the standings. Dirt Bounce, they're finishing a lap down after the open lap incident. A very unfortunate incident for the RPM driver, but great to see him make it all the way to the end. And then last but not least, coming on to the bronze finishing positions, and as we can see, Cameron Smith there, the privateer, taking the win by 39.2 seconds the end over your bronze champion for this season, Charlie Max for Friends Racing by Connexus, who fought his way back on the recovery to P2, and then finishing a lap down the end, third place of the class, Alistair Hatcher for ATEC Racing Cyan, head of teammate Craig Shield, and a great end to the season for the team. And then at final hour, P5 of the privateer, one to watch out for in a future season, given his performances since his debut, in the fact constantly chasing top fives. Then Sean Dobie, it didn't go well for today, the Clicks Racing driver, but still the misfortune following him all the way to the end of the season, ahead of All Spares by Connexus Ben Kirby, your runner-up in the Bronze Championship, and a very sad way for it to all end after it was 2 laps to end up in the pits and end up a lap down and not able to chase the championship. But still, that shouldn't take away from Ben Kirby's charge and his resilience throughout to hound down Charlie Max. And then Mark Cadmore, the sole retiree of the race in the bronze class, the privateer, in the end retiring 2 laps into the race with 31 to go. And that concludes our run through of all the finishing positions, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, we do have the question of what will be post-round interviews coming up shortly. We would like to just remind you, do vote for your driver of the day if you haven't had the chance to vote for your driver of the day as of yet. But in the meantime, of course, we are going to take a step away for a brief moment, and we'll be back in approximately 10 to 12 minutes time to get underway while post-round interviews. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. You won't want to miss them. They're coming up very shortly. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. And apologies for the slightly delayed return to the post-round interviews, but we've been busy behind the scenes trying to grab an interview of each of our drivers' champions. I'm very pleased to say we've got all three of them, and we're going to be kicking off straight away today with Jeremy DeBova in the silver class of DBR, and we're going to be hearing his thoughts on what has been a delightful and consistent campaign throughout. He joins me in the interview immediately now. Good evening to you, Jeremy, and what a way to wrap it up. A third place finish, a battle right at the end, which many would be proud of, yourself included, I hope, and a silver championship title, your first in the Porsche Cup. You must be absolutely pleased.
Oh yes, Paul, it's an unbelievable feeling. I'm so happy with that. Yeah, like you say, the last lap was crazy at all. I didn't expect that I can finish on the podium because I was on fifth place and I just managed my race to win the championship. And then, yeah, like Casper and Mats had a battle together and yeah, they gave me the gap. And from that on, the adrenaline for racing came back and yeah, then I want to go to the podium also.
Oh, it was a phenomenal end to the racing, and just taking us through today, and qualifying wise, a P6 in class, P14 overall. I get the feeling perhaps Road Atlanta not your strongest circuit, or qualifying not working out the way you wanted it to.
No, I just want to make a good race pace here, and the qualifying was a little bit of joker to see what happens, and yeah, I was very pleased also with P7 because just want to manage my race and finish today, and yeah, and from that point I want to see what happens, and yeah, at the last lap, like I say before, it was one gap, and I go for it, and that make the championship more excited.
Oh, 100%. And of course, we do need to talk a little bit about the fact your main championship rival going into tonight, Lucas Romano, who I do believe has tuned in on the broadcast and said hello and congratulated you as well already. He wasn't able to make it onto the grid. I get the feeling that you might have missed him on circuit, seeing if it would go all the way to the wire with him.
Yeah, well, because he's a great driver, and also if he on track, he's a great driver, and yeah, it's always fine to battle with him. But yeah, today he can't race it. It's hard for him, but I'm pleased that he also on P3 for the championship. Yeah, this time I managed the whole season on the podium, I think, and it's once again of one time on my side now, and they have the title.
Oh, 100% with that. And looking back at your results, like you say, spending, in fact, the entirety of the season on the podium. That is incredible consistency, it has to be said. Nobody else this season in any class has been able to match you. And today's race was another example of that. After a slow start, gradually picking your way through the field, it looked as though the race was naturally coming to you.
Yeah, it was. Like I said, didn't expect it that I can race today for a podium, but yeah, I just tried to manage the tires and manage my race. Did no mistakes, and just tried to see what happens. And yeah, because Casper and Mats, I didn't have any chance to on the last lap, and yeah, have a little battle and touch each other for the gap, and was it for me to take it.
Oh, most definitely. Sneaking your way on through right at the end there. And of course, a great way to wrap up the season with a third place finish and snatching it right at the end. But when you look back at this championship all the way through the season, what has been your favourite moment or moments?
Well, for me, it was yeah, it was like I say, a crazy season every time on the podium whole season, and but then especially to take one race, yeah. Maybe I think that Imola, that I can make my first win of the season. I have every race on the podium, like I say, but I have I have no win on till then. Yeah, if I have then take one race, then I take Imola for greatest for me.
Well, that's absolutely fair. And like you say, Imola being your first win, and would you believe it, ladies and gentlemen, Jerry only picking up one win this season, but still the consistency on the podiums. Indeed, I can't remember the name of the Formula One driver who only picked up one podium on the way to his championship title all many years ago, the best part of 3 decades or so, but really demonstrating consistency so key throughout. And I have to ask, Jeremy, what's next for yourself? I mean, you've proven you can be the star in the silver class car. Can we expect you back on the grid for season 9 to defend the title?
I didn't know because I just want to celebrate my victory now and championship and see if the dates come together for a new season. Yeah, maybe come, but I have to watch it. I cannot say now at the moment how it's gonna work.
Oh, that's absolutely fair. And like you say, enjoy it, the moment, celebrate it, because you've been working for this for a long time after being denied the trophy last season under very close circumstances. And just before we let you go back to the celebrations, I'm sure your son and family are all watching and ready to celebrate with you, I have to ask, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast today?
Yeah, like I always say, my family, my parents, my son who's also racing normally together. Then the team members, it's a great team, and it's all for them also, and especially also for people with a disability. That if you fight for something, you can come to the champ, and that is yeah, great result.
Jeremy, you've been an absolute inspiration this season. I'm sure many will be inspired by your championship winning drive, and what a championship you have had. Congratulations on what has been the most consistent run of performances we've ever seen in the UK Sim Racing Porsche. I think in any UK Sim Racing series ever in history. You've earned the Silver Championship status. Enjoy it, be thrilled with the moment, and we look forward to hearing more about your future plans and whether you're on the grid for Season 9 in a future time. But for now, live here and now, and thank you for joining me in the interview room.
Thank you very much, Paul. Good evening.
So hearing it there for an absolutely ecstatic Jeremy De Boer, the Belgian driver from DBR, absolutely delivering today. There's no doubt about it. And what a way to wrap up proceedings with what's another third place, and string that third place together out of nowhere by capitalising on the late battle between Matt Strand and Casper Tunstead. And there's the statistics, ladies and gentlemen. The only driver this season to finish every race on his class's podium and pick up one win. That's right, they only win the feature at Imola last week. Otherwise, he's not won a single race up to that point. It's absolutely crazy when you think about it, but that's what goes to show that to be a champion, you can't just be fast, but you've also got to be consistent throughout, and that's why it's an absolutely phenomenal story for Jeremy De Boer after what was heartbreak in Season 7, but now bouncing back and really delivering. And whether he's on the grid or not in Season 9, I mean, we would love to see him there on the grid to defend his title, but if not, he has left a legacy which many of us will be looking to for years to come. I can tell you that. I'm definitely inspired by his journey, and I'm sure many of you are, and well, he's definitely going to be celebrated tonight. There's no doubt about it. But now we come on to our second interview, going from the man from DBR to come into our bronze champion. He awaits me in the interview room, and he's going to be joining me very shortly. It is going to be Charlie Max. And we're going to be hearing about a driver whose championship battle today was ended after only a lap of racing technically, but we'll also get to hear the story of what has been his season campaign, his battle with good friend Ben Kirby. He does join me in the interview now. Good evening to you, Charlie. And congratulations firstly on the Bronze Drivers' Championship crown for Season 8. You are our first ever Bronze Drivers' Champion. A second place today as well at Road Atlanta. I mean, it must feel special to take the first ever bronze title.
Well, hello, Paul. It's quite something for me because I came into this not being able to drive that car pretty much at all. I struggled and struggled and struggled, and it's so rewarding to know that it's gone somewhere. I've actually won something, and it's just I can't even explain the feeling. It is so good.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic to hear, and I can understand that you're quite speechless right now, so let's try and give you some questions to put some words on the page today. Talking a little bit about qualifying In qualifying, seeing you put the car P4 on the grid, your lowest qualifying position all season, interestingly. And I have to ask, did you come in today perhaps in the mindset of, I just need to finish behind my rival stroke teammate of Ben Kirby to win this, I don't need to do anything special?
I knew that I just needed to keep it on the road, keep it on the black stuff, that sort of saying. There's a small part of competition in me that I just couldn't let it go. I need to just run it, see what I can do. Obviously, not be too dangerous. Get through it. Just get the car finished. That was the goal. Qualifying was just whatever. I don't know if you noticed. I literally just lapped the car round and round and round and round. There was no sort of theory behind it at all. It was just drive it, see what happened. I made some very last minute adjustments, and it was just a case of let's drive it, see what it's like, and then we'll go from there.
I think a very sensible approach, like you say, in terms of taking the driving experience of qualifying, making some last minute adjustments and then taking it forward into the race. And all the way through the race, it seemed as though after the initial drama of the start of lap number 2, it went exactly as planned, but the opening lap or 2 laps, not quite what we expected in the bronze class.
No, not at all. I mean, I struggled a little bit. I struggled with this car cold pretty much the whole season. The first few laps were always a bit of a pain in the arse and seeing what you can do with it. So I sort of just if anyone wanted to go, they could go. That lap 2 incident, there was nothing that I could do in that situation. I saw everything unfold in front of me. I had a car right in the front of me, and I had a car behind me. I had to just stick to my line, hope it's not going to be too dangerous. Unfortunately, I did get collected, of course, but to be honest, I got off quite lightly. I kept my foot in it, and I had to just drive the rest of the race then.
Indeed, and within that instant, we did see the unfortunate moment whereby your rival Ben Kirby ended up being collected a little bit more heavily by comparison, and ended up having to come to the pits for repair work shortly after. With that in mind, and then Ben having to essentially put a lap down the field, did it feel as though at that point the pressure was off, or was it just head down, get the car to the end of the race?
Yeah, I mean, the car felt like it was damaged. I couldn't even break 21s. I think I probably did 3 or 4 laps, like just dipping my toes in it, throughout. It didn't feel good, but I just thought, as I just said, I've got to get it to the end. Just drive the car. Don't do anything stupid. We end up where we end up at the end of it. After that lap 2 incident, I'd lost my couple of places. Let's just drive the car. As long as it stayed on the road, nothing else mattered. So it was just not even any theory behind that. It was just pedal the car, see what we can get to. And I think P2 in the end. So I'm quite happy with that. So.
Oh, most definitely. Battling your way back through and finishing P2 and having to take on the likes of Alistair Hatcher and Craig Shield along the way, the ATEC Racing Team Cyan drivers. It looked as though, whilst the car was damaged, you still made sure to have a bit of fun out there and battling your way past some rivals.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the damage, that was the car hurt. There's nothing that I can do with that then other than just drive it as hard as I could. My move through past Alistair Hatcher was probably not the way I wanted to do it. I had a bit of opposite lock through the bus stop. It was a move made. It's not the way I'd like to do it. I'd like to try and be clean, but it was, there was no contact in the end of it, and I ran away after that. So it is what it is. It's not the way that I'd have wanted to do it, but it got me that P2.
Well, you earned it in the end, and whilst it may not have been the way you wanted to, you made it happen with flying colours, and with it crowning yourself as our first ever bronze class drivers champion. I mean, like you said earlier, a bit of an unreal feeling given the fact coming into this season not in the most comfortable place with the car. And I have to ask for yourself, when you look back at this season, are there any particular moments or a single moment that stands out and you could say is your favourite moment of the season?
I mean, I've enjoyed the whole season because I've never really I've not done something like this before. I've not done a series all the way through start to finish. So for me, I've had such a reward out of doing this full stop, without special moments. If I have to give it a special moment, I'd probably say it was Bathurst. I know Ben ain't gonna like me saying that, but I followed his taillights. I knew what kind of driver he was. I kept kept in good proximity. And I just saw that I saw the opportunity, 2 corners to the end or whatever it was, and I just had to go for it. I don't like to be that kind of person, but it was there. I just wanted to go. So that's my favourite moment. I think I've enjoyed Nürburgring. That was amazing. I love that track so dearly anyway. So if that's a close second for me, just that race throughout.
Well, indeed, and I think Ben will understand, even though, like you say, he may not be too pleased in recalling the Bathurst overtake right at the end, but still, it was an absolutely memorable moment for all of us as spectators. You can understand why that's at the forefront of your mind, but like you say as well, your brilliant drives at the Nürburgring right up there. And I guess now the big question, Charlie, is what's next for yourself? Of course, you've taken the championship crown this season. Can we expect you back for season 9 to defend that crown?
Yeah, I mean, I operate on free agent. I'll just turn up to whatever everyone else wants to do, and I'll fill in. If it's that, then that's cool. I'd like to turn up for season 9. I've had a conversation with Ben about some investment in some better gear because I'm using dead basic Thrustmaster gear. I've had it for a long time. It's out of date. It's given me a little bit of inconsistency now because I've had struggle with braking throughout this whole season with this car, but it's something that I've just adjusted my driving to. So yeah, I think a little bit of money investment, and I would love to turn up again for this because it has been absolutely amazing, and the reward is unexplainable.
We definitely would love to have you on the grid for next season, and with that little bit of investment, as you say, to step things up to another level, and long may we see you on the grid for season 9. But just before we do let you go, Charlie, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight?
You guys, as always, Connexus as always. Ben has been sort of my biggest supporter in this, just keeping me going. A lot of our practice has been together. We sort of reference back and forth, as I know what kind of driver he is, he knows what kind of driver I am, other way around, whatever. I mean, Jock, he's probably watching this. He's part of Connexus. He's been sort of my little fan in the corner, sort of coming in and out, giving me a little bit of support. He's been on this stream sometimes, giving me a little bit of a support. So I appreciate that too. So it goes a long way.
Oh, it most definitely does. But with that, Charlie, thank you for joining me in the interview room. And once again, congratulations on becoming our first ever bronze class UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup Drivers Champion as the Season 8. Well earned and well deserved. Savour it, enjoy the moment, and we look forward to seeing you back on the grid for the next season to defend that title. But until then, we wish you all the best.
Big thanks, Paul. See you again.
So hearing there for a bit of an emotional but understandably so Friends Racing by Connexus is Charlie Max, and what a way to wrap things up today. Battling back to P2 after a lap 2 incident which left many in the bronze class damaged, bruised, and perhaps some even broken and taken to the pits. But for Charlie, it was just another day of getting the head down and carrying on, and what a way this season has been. As he mentioned, going into this season, not expecting anything, not acquainted with the Porsche 992 Cup car, and coming out the end through determination and plenty of practice as our bronze champion, albeit in a title fight with Ben Kirby, his sister team rival, who kept him honest every step of the way. And in the early days, it looked like it was going the way of Ben, but in the end, once Charlie took the lead, he never looked back, and it always would be a back and forth between them. And well, with some late intervention with Cameron Smith, one to watch out for next season as well. But Charlie Max, your deserved champion, and really giving it everything in order to achieve that. And well, if he is on the grid for season 9, he is definitely going to be a hard driver to beat. There's no doubt about it. We're now going on to our third interview, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be hearing from a man we've never quite heard from. And that is going to be very shortly Philip Hammer in the gold class. And well, as he gets ready to join me, it has been a long time coming to have the pleasure of speaking to the Impulse Racing driver, but he's going to join me in the interview room very shortly, and we're going to hear the story from the man who really has charged his way to glory in the gold class, albeit it hasn't been a perfect run all season, but he's definitely earned the right to be considered your gold champion for this season. And well, without further ado, he joins me any moment now, and when he does so, in fact he joins me now. Good evening to you, Philip. It's the first time for everything for many, albeit for you it's a third time for taking the gold drivers championship crown. Congratulations. I mean, you're our first ever third time champion. How does it feel?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Yeah, I don't think it's that deserved. Thomas has more raw pace. I've had more luck this season, I think, but yeah, I take it.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, you've got to take it when you can, and of course, a season made up of 13 rounds, of which throughout them you definitely have been out of the turbo, perhaps the slightly more consistent out the pair, but again, that's all subjective. But all the way through, we've seen great results, and today it looked as though you're going to be up against it a bit after a superb qualifying result that put you P2 on the grid.
Yeah, I mean, qualifying was, I think, terrible from us, from Nicholas and me. We tried to slipstream each other, but yeah, we were a bit too stupid. Every lap, someone made a small mistake or got an off track, but yeah, at least we made it into top 3. That was okay.
Indeed, putting it on the front row versus your rival, and then when the lights were out and away we went, it looked as though Thomas was just gradually breaking away. Meanwhile, for yourself and Nicholas, it was going to be a race of just about managing second and third and bringing home not just the trophy for yourself, but also the team's championship.
Yeah, I mean, I had so much understeer in the beginning, and after that, maybe 2-3 laps, we could keep up with Thomas. Yeah, we tried to catch him. We thought we got a little closer every lap, but yeah, then I had a bit too much understeer and crashed in the wall.
Now, we didn't quite see the incident with the wall, but I do appreciate you explaining that to us. And after that, driving a Wounded Cart Road Atlanta, I mean, it's not easy doing a good lap at Road Atlanta in a clean car, but I could imagine that damage may have just made Road Atlanta a nightmare to drive around.
Yeah, luckily I had no meatball flag, but driving was no fun after the impact. The car was so twitchy in the corners. I almost lost it a few times, but yeah, luckily I brought it home.
Oh, indeed, but I must say, not without a degree of drama, when a New Zealander of Corey Lazarus came out of nowhere and got himself involved in the fight. And I have to ask, when you dropped to P4 and then you saw Nicholas and Corey battling for P2 and P3 in front of you, did you at any point think it was over, that the championship would go the way of Thomas?
Yeah, I didn't quite knew the points and how much I would need to win it, so it was more exciting than necessary.
That's absolutely fair. And well, to be fair, keeping your head down and fighting. And we did see on the last couple of laps, you attempt to go 3 wide into turn 1 with your teammate plus Corey. I mean, you threw everything on the line into turn 1, and it seemed to work out, albeit without a bit of contact between yourself and Oystein Hereford up the hill.
Yeah, it was pretty intense because I got 20 inks, so a contact could have ended my race. So luckily I got away with 2x from Oystein. Yeah, but that was scary.
Goodness me, and we thought the stakes were high just from watching on our end. To hear that as well, you're practically on the threshold of a potential drive-through penalty. I mean, I'm sure many tuning in the Twitch chat right now are probably going to be flabbergasted by that. And well, it wasn't to be that way in the unfortunate on your side. And as you came out of the final couple of corners, saw Corey started to run out of fuel by the looks of things. I can imagine suddenly the reality was sinking in that third title was going to be yours.
Yeah, I at first I didn't quite get it why Corey went slower. I think he said something in the voice chat, but I didn't understand him. But then it was, I think, 1 lap left or 2 laps, or was it the last lap even? But yeah, it it was good. It was a relief.
Well, understandable. And after that last lap, crossing the line, and well, we saw yourself and Nicholas doing donuts after the cool-down lap there. I mean, it has been a close championship all season. It has been back and forth between yourself and Thomas Cope for the Drivers' Championship, and between yourselves and Olympus X GD6 for the Teams' Championship. You've wrapped up both of them and taken both of them. I mean, there can't be any greater feeling after what has been a close championship. I know you said earlier that perhaps you felt as though you didn't deserve it as much, but still, there's got to be some positives to take from it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're happy. Nicholas is happy. It's a great finale.
Well, that's fantastic to hear. And of course, as our first ever three-time gold champion, I have to ask Philip, what's next for yourself? I mean, you have been a stalwart of the series ever since your debut back in, if I remember correctly, season 4. You always have a way of putting off some of the most fantastic racing. Can we expect you back on the grid to try and make it 4 titles in season 9?
I think so. It's a great league, but Thomas already announced he will win the next one. So let's see.
Oh, I like it. The rivalry's on before we've even let season 8 finish. Well, that's great to hear. We'd love to see you and Thomas back on the grid together, battling it out for the right to become gold champion again. And of course, Teams Championship with it. But just before I do let you go, Philip, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight?
Yeah, thanks for you and the broadcast. Great commentary every week. Thanks to the whole UKSR community, to Nicholas, to Impulse Racing, and to Thomas. Great fighting.
Well, Philip, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you join me in the interview room for the first time. I can't believe it's the first time we've ever had the chance to speak over the broadcast, but still a fantastic race to wrap up the season. And what a season it has been for yourself. Many a great moment. I'm sure you'll be reflecting on them as time goes on. But our first ever 3-time Drivers' Champion in the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup. Ladies and gentlemen, give it a round of applause for this man right here. And Philip, I wish you all the best as you rest and get ready for Season 9 and whatever other endeavours head your way. But until then, savour the moment, enjoy it, revel in it, and we look forward to seeing you on the grid again in a future season.
Thank you. Good night.
So hearing there from Philip Hammer, our 3-time gold Drivers' Champion, and one of the 2 drivers who has taken the Teams Championship this season for Impulse Racing, his teammate Nicholas Nold, and the pair of them putting in a stellar amount of work to fend off Olympus X GD6. And hearing there initially, a little bit surprised but understandable, feeling as though perhaps he didn't deserve this 3rd title given that Thomas was the faster driver over the season. But remember, much like we saw with Jeremy Debova, a man who's only won once this season to take the Silver Championship in style, you have to be consistent and you have to be fast across them. That's not to say Thomas Cope is not consistent, but when the results are weighed out in the end, it's a small margin, but small margins. A bit of fortune as well going the way of Philip Hammer, and that was the difference between the 2 of them in the end. And it could have gone differently. If we saw some misfortune fall the way of Philip compared to Thomas, we could be saying that Thomas would be picking up his 2nd title as the end of the season, but not to be. And Philip in the end also discussing the fact that the moments of batting back and forth, and not sure saw when we sat in the standings, when we saw Corey Lazarus coming through, and also the battle with what was Oystein Herfer getting involved. But in the end, all 4 drivers coming together in a fantastic and thrilling conclusion to the racing, and we couldn't ask for better. And in the end, we do have our 3rd time Gold Drivers Champion in Philip Hammer, the Impulse Racing driver, already vying up to be back on the grid in Season 9 to battle again with Thomas Cope. And we're going to be hearing from the runner-up very shortly. And, well, he's going to enjoy the moment, no doubt about that. But we look forward to seeing Philip back on the grid, and we'll definitely see if he can make it 4 in a row and continue that wonderful Crusader Championships. So then we come to our final interview, ladies and gentlemen. We've mentioned him. He is your gold runner-up for this season. It is going to be Thomas Cope. And as he gets ready to join me in the interview room, well, without further ado, let's hear the story from the man who turned it all around in the final race of the day. But it wasn't quite enough. He joins me now. Good evening to you, Thomas. And, well, absolutely dominant today. It wasn't quite enough in the end to turn the championship around, but you pushed it as close as possible that anybody could ask to the wire. I must admit, there must be some sort of small smile on your face at the fact that today you were unstoppable.
Yeah, I like to say staff and congratulate Philip. It's been a great championship, and you said it earlier, just the consistency and staying up there at the front, it really helped him win the championship. And when it came to matter, all he had to do was finish on the podium tonight, and for him, that's an easy result. I mean, it didn't come as easy as he expected, but nevertheless, he can pull off a good result when it needs to be. But yeah, Road Atlanta is one of my top favourite tracks. I do like this, and obviously I proved it in my first debut race here last season out in UKSR with the double back-to-back victory for my first ever time in this league, and then again tonight with the result. I mean, yeah, I just can't get enough of this track, if anything.
Oh, indeed, and we can't get enough of seeing you rip up the asphalt in the US state of Georgia, and what a way to start off tonight as well. Pole position by 2.5 tenths. I mean, it took some time over the 20 minutes, but you dropped a message. It was almost as if you dropped the proverbial microphone once you'd done that lap, in the fact that as soon as we saw you cross the line, car parked up, in the pits, done. I mean, was it the perfect lap?
Still not quite the perfect lap. I'm still chasing the perfectness. I do think there was a sub 19 actually out there in the car. Earlier on in the session, I got into a bit of drama and a bit of a block from some other cars. I'm not going to name who, and no one's getting protested. I still ended up on the podium, so there's no need to, or still at the front even, but no need to put a protest out there for it. But yeah, not quite perfect, but I was really happy with it, and considering the time left in the session, knowing roughly the run plans that the Impulse lads were doing and strategy they were trying to pull off in qualifying, I was pretty confident that time was going to stick, and yeah, it did just stick for the qualifying result.
Well, that confidence very well placed, and when we went into the race, we saw at the start, it looked as though at first the Impulse Racing drivers were able to follow you quite closely off the line, but after the first couple of turns, the gap started to open up. It stayed stable for about the opening 15 minutes and then started to pull away. I mean, we know that yourself and the Olympus esports teams have worked out some fantastic combinations when it comes to a lot of pace in the car, but also at the same time being able to preserve the tyres. We saw that back at the start of what was season 7 here at Road Atlanta, and it looked as though it was clockwork once again here in a much longer race.
Yeah, we've always been pretty kind on tyres, and just how we like to drive as drivers. We, I mean, I really managed early race. I broke out that little early gap. I kept him just within that draft range, the 1.5. I were making a little couple mistakes, so I was really trying to just gap manage and keep that gap where it was stable. And then when Philip, I mean, I watched back and saw some of the situations. Philip had a bit of an iffy lap and got into the wall about the mid race, and from that point, I kind of broke the draft. And I was like, right, I've done enough tire saving, done enough management of the car. I'm just going to go for it. And Nicholas helped as well. I mean, I did talk to him, and so I know it is.
I see, and just off the back of that, with regards to obviously looking deeper and deeper into the race, with the gap you're gradually pulling away, keeping eyes on perhaps the relative? Were you focusing on, okay, where is my rival in the championship, or will you just head down thinking, you know what, I'll cross that finish line and see what happens?
I'm really sorry. My headphones just died. Can you repeat the question?
That's no problem at all. Technical issues tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but we get it right first time, every time, as they say. I was just asking, with regards to the race as it went on, we saw you gradually open up that gap and the fighting start to kick off for P2 through to P5. Were you keeping your eyes on it, or just thinking, I'm going to win this race, and whatever happens after I cross the line, I'll look back and just accept my fate?
Yeah, I knew they were going to get feisty. I saw Corey was catching up and making up that gap, and Nicholas started to drop off. I think he was doing a lot of team helping Philip try and stay ahead of Corey at one point, and then try to battle Corey to try and let Philip come back through and cause a bit of drama that maybe helped the team out for them. So at that point, I just kept my head forward and kept working on my own race, doing my own laps I knew I could do, getting past traffic as well. And then I'd also seen Oyston got involved as well and caught the train up with the amount of fighting that they did have. So it kind of, my race was do what I could, finish on the podium, let Philip decide his own fate for the championship. And yeah, it nearly came to the fact of getting decided on incidents and crashes, but yeah, ultimately Corey had the fuel situation on the last lap, and the Oyston had a spin out with the crash, and nobody had a slow down. So Philip just came through, and I want to say it's luck. I do think Philip was very smart and just chilling out and being relaxed as well. So I can't say enough about him. He's a really good driver, to be fair.
Well, that's absolutely fair, and I do appreciate the respect you have for your rival. Indeed, a rivalry which we've much loved this season, and even last season when we saw the two of you go head-to-head for the first time. And of course, being runner-up for yourself in the Gold Drivers' Championship and runner-up as part of the Olympus X Geodesic team alongside Oyston Hereford. 2 second places this season, not the way you obviously wanted it to conclude, but a very closely run season after what was your debut season last time round, and also taking the win then. One to perhaps build from and look ahead to season 9?
Oh, 100%. I mean, Philip said it himself. It's not mind games. I said it as a joke. I am coming for him next season, as long as he comes back and wants to fight. But yeah, I've got the grit between my teeth again. Hopefully, I don't have any drop rounds where I'm not available, and I don't have to miss any. So my drop score will be a little bit better, and I'm not relying so much on the consistency like I did in season 1. And I can go a little bit more all out there and show the raw pace that I do have. But yeah, I mean, 2 seasons, P1, P2, you can't really ask for any more. I think as a debut and a second rookie season in theory, but still, I'm quite experienced. I think it's a really good result, and hopefully I can take it to Philip and try and beat him to that 4th championship. I want to try and make that the real fight between me and him, and we'll see where that goes.
Oh, goodness me, I'm already getting spine chills just thinking about it in season 9, I must say, and the thought of seeing the two of you go toe-to-toe once again. And also just a quick comment on the fact, whilst you were the sole Olympus esports driver in the grid this season, teaming up with another man who's definitely shown a lot of pace this season, perhaps not on the same pace as yourself and Philip in that championship fight, but also getting involved in the fight for 3rd in the championship, and Oyston really being a great partner to yourself for this season.
Yeah, it was on the outside. It's a very unlikely partnership, but for us internally, I'm good friends with Oyston behind the scenes. I've communicated quite a bit with him, and I knew him before he went and started driving with Geodesics. So we did. I will openly admit we did try to get him to Olympus at one point, but yeah, Oyston in his own right is a really, really quality driver. He has shown raw pace, and he's shown multiple times, even in this season, this championship, that he can battle up at the front of the field when he puts his mind to it. He's a really good driver. Hopefully, we look forward to seeing Oyston back next season. Whether it be an Olympus Geodesic duo again, we're unsure. We may try and get some more Olympus drivers in there and try and stack out the field again like we did in season 7. But yeah, ultimately, it's an unlikely partnership, but for us internally as a team for Olympus, it was the right partnership to take going forward to try and take that team's championship.
I definitely agree with that. And in the end, the two of you essentially being the first and second runners-up in the gold class, and also coming through to be the runners-up in the team's championship. An unlikely but a very productive partnership. And of course, you've mentioned that you're going to be on the grid for Season 9. Is there anything else you've got in the pipeline, given the fact that Season 9 is only a couple of weeks away? More on that to be revealed shortly. But also, we're coming towards the Christmas period. Is there anything such as downtime at Olympus, or is it racing all the way to Christmas Day?
It's business every day of the week, mate. We we go all the time. I mean, doing these weekly championships is kind of the only thing that really keep us going as a team and keep us winning and keep us out there as being shown on broadcast. So we always try to keep racing. It keeps your mind set for the bigger events as well. And it's just a good relaxing time as well, especially when we have the nice, interesting fights with other drivers. Sometimes it's a good mental reset for driving and racing and remembering why you enjoy doing what we're doing within the sim racing. So it is nice, especially when we get these frustrating events with the big esports leagues. They're broadcast by big real life racing companies. So yeah, it's nice and relaxing, and we do love supporting the little companies as well. So yeah, it's just rightful just to keep going and keep showing what we can do and try and get out as much as we can sometimes.
That's absolutely fair. I do love the team mentality, all in every day of the week. And well, Thomas, just before I do let you go, as always, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast?
Yeah, a big one, a full championship season long to yourself. I do say every week that I get a chance to come talk to you, but just as a big end of year one, to yourself, you've done an amazing job, and I really thank you for the broadcasts. I enjoy it, and the real life commitments we've had as well, meeting up and everything. It's been really fun throughout the whole year, and being interested in listening to broadcasts every day of the week and watching everything back. And also to the organisers, the UKSR guys, thank you for the whole season, the whole league, all future seasons as well. I know they've got some interesting events coming up in the pipeline other than the Porsche Cup, so I look forward to doing that sort of stuff and trying my feet in something else with the league. But I thank you all for everything and the offers as well. So it's been really fun. Big one to the Impulse guys. They put on a good Star Championship. Can't thank them enough for keeping it nice and clean, keeping it interesting, and keeping it going. And the whole grid as well. And in that matter, not just to name a single team out, but everyone all season long has been nice and clean, fun and interesting, and really just friendly from both sides. Showing the racing heart as well. And then the whole Olympus Esports squad, they all put the heart out all the time, every week, to maximise everything we can and really get best as good as possible. And get ready for their own events. I mean, the guys have a Road Atlanta race this weekend, so they've been kind enough to let me in and practice for my own event while they're prepping for their race this weekend. So good luck to them on that. And then just a big one for the team, for Charles Michel, for getting us on as a grid and as a team, keeping us together, keeping us doing what we're doing, and keeping our mind at check, and all the team sponsors, IMB Racewear, Grip Engineering, HSR Autos, they all help out the team in the sim and actually in the real life as well, in what some of us do, just left, right, and centre. So it's really nice to really keep going in that front and being everywhere that we possibly can do.
Well, Thomas, likewise, a big thank you to yourself, not just for the kind words, but also for your continued and ever-present efforts on the grid, whether it be in interviews or out on the race net. And we love to see the Olympus esports team there, and we wish you and the team all the best in your upcoming events, and well, when you do look to return for Season 9. But until then, congratulations on being our Gold Drivers runner-up for this season, and with it also a member of the team's runner-up team in the form of Olympus XGD. So didn't quite go your way this season, but still, there's plenty more to cover in Season 9, I'm sure, and we look forward to you taking the fight back to Philip and the other members of the field. But until then, well done on your race, and as always, thank you for joining me on the interview room. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you again in the near future.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Hearing there from our final interview of this season, Thomas Cope, the gold class driver, second place this season, and with his teammate of was Øystein Herford for Olympus XGD6 third, a double runners-up in the gold class drivers championship and runner-up as a team come the end to Impulse Racing. And talking there about the difference between himself and Philip, and it being that consistency factor, the only slight separation between the two of them, but I did love the amount of confidence he showed in qualifying today, and talking out there, not quite the perfect lap, and feeling as though there was an 18.9 out there. But still, the flip side of the coin is when he delivered that lap right towards the end of the session, he knew he'd taken pole position. The confidence level was so high, and that shows you that Thomas Cope came today to deliver at Road Atlanta and coming full circle on what was his previous performance, of course, in the season opener of Season 7, where Olympus Esports dominated here, and it was Thomas Cope who was at the vanguard, not just in team name, albeit I do like the fact there's a bit of a parallel there in terms of the terminology of the teams, but also at the vanguard of what was the racing, up being the man to take pole and run away with things in both races. And, well, absolutely perfecting the Road Atlanta circuit today, putting the laps in left, right and centre, untouchable after what was 15 minutes of racing, and just looking ahead and letting fate decide what the fate of Philip Hammer would be in that championship. Whilst he kept abreast of it, didn't quite know how it all played out until the final checker flag, and in the end it didn't quite go the way of Thomas, and in the end it went the way of Philip, but still, time we'll see things potentially shift, and we've already heard a little bit of banter back and forth between the two of them about season 9, and well, with Philip looking to try and make it 4 gold drivers titles, Thomas will be looking to try and take his second and add to what was his first on his debut. It's going to be interesting in season 9, there's no doubt about it. Could we see other drivers find themselves in the mix and making it more than what is a 2-horse race for victory? We'll have to wait and see, but either way, we have definitely got a lot to look forward to, and by the sounds of things, Olympus Esports have got a lot to look forward to over the coming days and weeks, even before we go racing again in the UK Sim Racing at Porsche Cup, and we wish them all the best with that. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude all of our interviews for today. You've heard from 3 of our champions and also our gold class runner-up, and to give you a reminder, we started off with Jeremy Dover, our silver class drivers champion, Mr. Consistent as we'll nickname him today, given his runner results all the way through the season. And then we heard from Charlie Max, your bronze class drivers champion, the Friends Racing by Connexus driver, who turned everything around from what was not knowing the Porsche 992 at the start of the season to being the bronze driver who was in command of the Porsche Cup machine come the end of the season. We then heard for the first time ever from Philip Hammer, our gold class drivers champion from Impulse Racing, the man who really was the one to beat on consistency this season in the gold class. Perhaps when the pace wasn't there, the consistency definitely was. Not without potential heartbreak today, it must be said. And then we just heard from Olympus XGD6 Thomas Cope, the gold class drivers runners-up, who dominated today, delivered with a win to wrap up the season, but it wasn't quite enough. But he's already ready to go for season 9 and looking to come back with a vengeance. Congratulations to all 4 of them on their performances, not just today, but the entirety of the season. Thank you to them all for joining me in the interview room. But that does mean, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up all of our interviews. But we can't just quite wrap up there, of course, because let's give you a recap of those championship standings subject to Eddie Stewart's inquiries, and here they all are. We start off then with the Gold Class Drivers' Championship after 13 of 13 rounds, and there's your confirmation. Philip Hammer taking the win by 3 points. 3 points at the end of the season between these 2 titans of the season of Philip Hammer and Thomas Cope. Goodness me, it could not have been closer, and if places had been changed slightly, you would imagine that it would have been Thomas who would snuck through to the win, but it wasn't to be today, and that's the way it goes in racing. Øystein Herford holding on to a 3rd place finish in the end, 5 points clear of Nathan Foster, with the Empire Motorsport driver just keeping Nicholas Noel behind, and that was your top 5 there, with Corey Lazarus just missing out in the end. And you can imagine that if we had seen Corey Lazarus have enough fuel to get to the end, could he have stolen away top 3 in the end? Could he have at least made it into the top 5? Well, the Blackout Motorsport OPR driver will be kicking himself for that, but he'll know as well he gave it everything. It was all or nothing, and in the end a P6 is what it came to. Elmore Koopmans, Simon Bamber, Tim Darracott and Carl Fellas wrapped up your top 10. 10. And as we come onto the silver class standings, we now have your confirmation there of Jeremy DeBova, the man who finished on the podium every race this season and took only one win at Imola. And you can see there 248 points to 209 of Casper Tunstead. Many would say, what if we had Lucas Romano on the grid today, who finished third place in the end? Well, it's a big what if question, but still a third place finish there for Lucas Romano, and a big shout out to Casper Tunstead, the Peak Sim Racing driver, finishing P2. He'll be proud of that given his battles and struggles with the Porsche Cup car over the last couple of seasons, but he is definitely now becoming a contender. And well, could it be Casper Tunstead who becomes a potential championship contender in season 9? We'd love to see it, and will he be able to do it? That'll be the big question. Marcel Fritsch P4 there, another driver who came on leaps and bounds since his demotion to the silver class. He's definitely been enjoying the racing in the class, and long may that continue ahead of Deirdre Diva-Laming, who completed your top 5. And then your top 10 was rounded out by Chris Eddersford, Forster Sefer, who wasn't on the grid today, unfortunately. We did miss seeing him on the grid, but we hope he's back for a future season. Sean Cranny Swash, Glenn Humberstone, and Nicholas Gronstrom. We then come onto the bronze class, and here we can see the confirmation. Charlie Max, your winner on 270 points to 247 of Ben Kirby. And this is the first time this season we have seen the two of them finish apart. We have never seen that until today. Indeed, they have been practically neck and neck all the way through, but in the end, a major incident on lap number 2 was the separator between the two of them, and saw Charlie Max effectively confirmed as champion-elect before we got to the checker flag, but then confirming it at the finish line. Still, the Friends Racing by Connexus and All Spares by Connexus drives really well the two big names of the grid, with Alistair Hatchin taking P3 for A-Tech Racing Cyan and holding off Sean Doby in the end to that third place finish, with the Clicks Racing drive having a difficult end to his season. Craig Shield completed the top 5 there, the fellow member of the A-Tech Racing Cyan outfit, head of Cameron Smith, with Mark Cadmore, Filau, Stephen Ray and Joe Pinder completing your top 10, and best rest P11 at Jamie McEwen there. But with that, ladies and gents, we now come to the Teams Championship last but not least, and there is the confirmation. Impulse Racing, despite a little bit of a scare at the end of the racing today, are your champions on 479 to the 467 of Olympus XGDs, 12 points at the end, and again, a Teams Championship that went to the wire. Empire Motorsport holding on to P3 when all was said and done, ahead of Blackout Motorsport OPR, and Apex Missers completing your top 5 only by 3 points over DBR, who came on leaps and bounds in the mid-portion of the season. And it was RPM, UK Sim Racing Admin Team, Effect Simulations, and Peak Sim Racing who completed your top 10 teams. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to all of our participants. They all deserve a round of applause, whether they were winners, alternative at the back of the field. They are what make the grid what it is for the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup. But it does mean now, sadly, it is now time for us to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have enjoyed this season of the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup, and perhaps you're sat there right now wanting to know more about the UK Sim Racing community, including being on the grid for the next season of this series or other series that we have ongoing, we recommend you do check out firstly our official website. That's available using the link on screen there, uksimracing.co.uk. We showed you it earlier on the broadcast today. And indeed, we won't be showing you it again right now, but you can definitely check out our website if you do want to find out a little bit more about UK Sim Racing, or perhaps if you don't want to go to our website, well, we would like to let you know that we are on social media, and you can find us on what used to be known as Twitter, now known as X, and the Twitter handle there being twitter.com/UK Sim Racing _. We also just quickly popped in the Twitch chat for you not to forget to vote for your driver of the day. Of course, we have one vote outstanding for Road Atlanta today. Votes close at midnight tonight, British Summer Time or Universal Coordinated Time. But we'd like to also take this moment now to say a big thank you to our affiliates, and they do include Swinell Meadows Sim Racing Coaching, and will the creator of the Motor Racing Checklist, Swinell Meadows Sim Racing Coaching can help take your sim racing driving to the next level. When you're looking to gain a 10th, improve your approach to the racing line, or develop your consistency, Swinell Meadows has a coaching course to meet your needs. Plus, with Swinell being a multi-time champion of official iRacing series, including the 2021 PSCC, you know you're receiving coaching from the very best in the industry. We also have Race Anywhere, the provider of curated sim racing equipment, aimed to only stock products that represent excellent value for the sim racing community. Demon Tweaks, the provider of the most complete and innovative motorsport product range available worldwide, so no matter what your level of discipline, Demon Tweaks can help drive you to realize your motorsport ambitions. SimLab, the leading manufacturer of high-quality sim racing-related hardware. As a proud partner of Mercedes AMG Petronas Esports, SimLab aims to enhance virtual racing experiences with uncompromising solutions that push the boundaries of esports and make SimLab the go-to brand for quality sim racing rigs. Amazon, the company striving to be the Earth's most customer-centric company, the Earth's best employer, and the Earth's safest place to work through the provision of concepts pioneered by Amazon, including but not limited to one-click shopping, Amazon Prime, and Amazon Web Services. And lastly, SRC Driver Academy. Elevate your sim racing skills with SRC Driver Academy. Their team of experienced professionals is dedicated to helping you reach your full potential without compromising on quality. But why choose SRC? Affordable, quality coaching. They have experienced coaches who provide valuable insights and a competitive edge. They make high quality coaching accessible to all and affordable costs tailored to your needs and goals. You can learn race strategies, precision driving, and much more. And they offer virtual coaching sessions at nearly all hours of the day, every day, ensuring flexibility for all. So do join SRC Driver Academy today and unlock your true sim racing potential. Visit their website to learn more and accelerate your sim racing career. Well, we might be accelerating for SRC Driver Academy, but the one thing we are going to decelerate, ladies and gentlemen, is now the pace of things, because of course this season is over. However, do not fret, because on the Thursday, the 21st of December 2023, only 4 days before Christmas, it's our early present to you all. We'll be back racing for Season 9 of the UK Sim Racing at Porsche Cup. It's going to be another 13 rounds of racing action, which will see our drivers go around the globe. And well, there are some small changes afoot, but we continue to see the mixture of what will be the endurance race rounds and also the heat and feature race rounds. And rumour has it, I do believe we might be looking at what is a 60-minute race at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, albeit subject to confirmation. But that is what I have been hearing down in the paddock. Well, with that in mind as well, there's no better time to potentially sign up for the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup. So do keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. If you do want to be on the grid, sign-ups will be open soon. And the best way to guarantee that you're going to be on the grid is to join the official UK Sim Racing Discord via our website. And our website is uksimracing.co.uk. Get yourself on the Discord in the Porsche Cup channel and wait for the sign-up announcement, because we would love to have you on the grid. But if you don't want to be on the grid, or perhaps you can't, perhaps you just want to tune in, save the date in your diary. Thursday, the 21st of December 2023. It's an early Christmas present. We go green flag racing once again, and we will see you there. But until then, we've been UK Sim Racing. I've been your host and commentator, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. And until next time, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling. It has been an absolute pleasure bringing you all this racing action throughout the entirety of the season. But it is goodbye for now, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, most importantly, as always, to stay on track. Good night.